Hello, hello. Hello to everybody in the world. This is the 32nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop. Today we've had an exciting last few days at the Spaceship Institute. They've had some live video that's found on the Live from SSI event on this same channel as the workshop today. And the live video has been coming through, and folks have been following it day and night and watching the progression of the magnetic fields and so on, and it's been quite exciting for some of us watching. I'm sure we'll hear more about that today from Mr. Keshe, and that has to do with Armin's reactor configuration, so perhaps we'll hear a little more about that situation. And I'm sure there's several other things that are to be discussed today. I've heard, for one thing, a rumor that the Keshe Foundation has gotten some, what would you say, some recognition, international recognition through something mysterious that Mr. Keshe alluded to. So maybe we'll hear more about that. And maybe we'll hear more about also the MagGrav components idea and some of the GANs setups, and I think Marko might be working on that. I'm not sure. We'll find out more today. Okay, without further ado, I'll hand things over to the capable hands of Mr. Keshe at the Spaceship Institute, and he can let us know what the news is. Mr. Keshe, are you there?
Good morning, good day, good evening to all of you, wherever you are. As Rick said, we are on a very important phase of the Keshe Foundation. A lot of work has been done by a lot of people. The Keshe Foundation now is not just a very handful of people who've been running around and in one country or two. Now the work of the foundation and the scientific work and evaluation reaches more or less in every continent. This is thanks to all of you, especially since the workshop has come in with Rick, Vince and other people, to allow the work to be understood. One of the biggest problems with man is fear of unknown. And with the programs like this, the teachings and the, what do you call it, in being able to dispense with the knowledge freely, unconditionally, has brought a lot of fears about the foundation to zero. There are a lot of governments who are afraid of what we do because of, you've got to understand, when there is so much misinformation, as I said, it becomes to be accepted. So, as we all know how the process has started, there's been so much misinformation that we are a terrorist organization and the rest. Now we brought the knowledge for the world leaders to watch, for the world, scientific world to watch. And one of the departures from this was the live presentation of the lab in the past 48 hours. I have seen a lot of comments going around that our detector is something wrong with it. If you've been following the lab procedures, these detectors are not the normal detectors of 3 Tesla. The scale set on it can go up to 20 Tesla. We paid over 10,000 euro, and we waited for 8 months to be the specification which we have. Just because the sensor is what they call, is not the way it's programmed in the background. And these people who come close to the foundation and think they know everything, and they use the knowledge and allowing coming close to them to discredit the foundation because it just goes up in their I know. These are the enemies of the foundation, that they've lost their position. So we make it very clear, the detector we use is customized for the foundation. And you can buy these detectors for a few cents in the market. We have paid nearly 10,000 plus for it to be customized, that it can take very, very low, unknown low levels, and very, very high levels. And I've heard people saying nobody can measure over 3, 4 or 5 Teslas or whatever. And then when we open the documents, if you go on the website, on the like Google, and you see like Las Almas has measured 100 Tesla in one condition and the rest. So this shows these people don't have understanding of it. How could Las Almas measure 100 Tesla or other universities? Because there are facilities available to us and we can finance these kind of equipment that common man doesn't have. Just because you can go to a shop and buy a small detector and think that's the limit of it, you don't understand the background of it. It's just like somebody who buys a Mini for 5,000 euro scrap. He says, I know everything about the Mini, and the guy buys the same Mini for about 50,000 euro because he gets it adapted and customized to his need. So this should put a lot of things away from the people. This detector, we use the two detectors we use are highly sensitive, customized for the foundation. And we have paid a lot of money for them to be tested in MRI systems in the hospitals, and we paid for the hospital time for them to be, what do you call it, to be put through their pace over 3-4 nights at a time. And this cost money to rent a thing, what do you call it, the hospital MRI facilities and other nuclear center facilities for measurement. So what you see, the measurement we have is more or less highly accurate. As we know, when we go to higher levels, we could have 3 to 5% this discrepancy. But at the moment, we stand at 74 Tesla plus, even if we give it 5% error position, we're still in a very high level with a very little materials which are in the system. On the other hand, this is the second detector, which is highly sensitive to very low, is in the cage within the system. So we understand that we are in a position not just to say what we want to say, but we can prove it now in what the technology is able to do. So at the moment, the detector reads at 74, the maximum. There is one thing which you have to understand. This detector at the moment is showing peaks. We are literally put it showing every single reading. So you see, when you see 74 Tesla, this means there has been a peak of 74 Tesla in the process of the running of the reactor. Now you can see Arman on the floor. This is from yesterday. You don't see the live stream. I see you there sitting there changing reactors. So as you see, yesterday Arman decided, because we had a failure in one motor, we literally took the whole thing into consideration, and Arman took everything up because Arman is responsible for this reactor setting, is his baby. And as we understand from Arman, a second set is on its way to the foundation. So most probably we'll see more magnificent results in the coming time. There is something which is very important. The reason we put this video, this session live on was, for those who don't know, is that because we were standing with Marko in the lab watching the system, and I saw vibration. Mark telling me, look, the vibration, the system is vibrating. And the minute I saw that, I asked Mark, can you go and get a video camera? Because this kind of vibration is very different than any other vibration you know. This is what we call vibration before lift. So we immediately videoed it to record it. And then we saw this phenomena a few times afterwards during the recording and the rest, and I tried to put a camera live yesterday, I think it's the morning, that people could see it while there was nobody here. The whole process is very simple. What I'm going to do, I'm going to open the video that you can understand what is going on and how this system is set and why you see such a big phenomena. Okay, now understand the process. This is something you have to understand, what has happened and what's going on, and why you observe somebody's other phone is open. Arman, your other phone. You're disconnected? Yeah. You're still there. Yep, he's out. No, we are there. It's no problem. So try to understand what is going on in the reactor space. We have 3 reactors which are sitting in this formation. And then we have a reactor which is sitting in the middle. So you have 3 sphere positioned down. But if you look at the sideway of the setting, 3 reactors are on one level and 1 reactor sits above. That's the principal reactor. So we have 3 plasmas looking sideways, sitting on the table. Can we bring the camera a bit closer? It's too far to see pictures.
But
we lose it, do we? Is it perfect? Yeah.
Just for you, because
I see a small picture. Oh, can you open it that I see what I put there, please? Is it possible to open it?
Yeah.
Then we'll see the scale of it. No? Okay, it doesn't matter. We go on the live stream. Have a look at it. No? Okay, leave it there. This is better. At least we see it better than everything. Okay, so what happens with... Okay, so in the cage you have this position when you look from the top. On the side view you have this. So what happens in every circle, in every reactor, if we look inside the reactor, we take a cross section from the reactor, you have such a position. You have the wall, you have the nanomaterial coated central column as you call it. We did this nano coating for the purpose of the nano layer has both gravitational magnetic fields, so we pin the fields into it. Then we filled it up with a GANs of CO2. So the GANSes literally were loaded in this shape. In time, by rotation, according to the speed, the shape of the position of the GANs changes totally. You still have the center. When you start rotating, the GANSes take position like this. Now, you immediately have created a gravitational magnetic field positioning. In this gap from here to here is water, which is in the mixture of the GANs. And from this point on to the wall is the GANs material, because you got to understand, GANs, even being a plasma, we are using it in a atmospheric condition. It takes the behavior of the heavy material or the gas. So as you rotate it, it goes like a heavy material in the centrifuge to outer boundary. So what happens now? You have plasmas which are in this region, and you have a plasma of the nano-coated material in the center. You have magnetic gravitational field of the center, magnetic gravitational field of the GANs. And now you have 2 systems. When a magnetic gravitational field of the GANs interacts with magnetic gravitational field of the system, they create their own plasma magnetic field. And by different speeds, we change this strength of this field. But now, this is in the reactor. You have a center and the GANSes around it. The second step in this development is that now you have to look at this original condition where the 4 reactors sit, or 3 reactors at the bottom and 1 on the top. There is something important to understand. In the design of this set, as you see in the lab pictures, live sessions, and from our other experiments in the lab before with the bigger motors, bigger systems, we know because we place the motors below the plate, more or less we have no interaction from the motors in the effect of the plasma created, because motors work in a matter field, plasmas work in a gravitational magnetic field. So the effect of the motors can be religiously ignored compared to what is achieved. So your magnetic field sits on that and on this version. Then we come to one point. When you look at this positioning, or this positioning, And when you understand the field which is created in one reactor, now we have repeated the same thing again. Now we have 3 reactors which are creating their own fields. And these are at the base. And then we have 1 reactor which sits somewhere up here, which its field, or if you look from the top as a one plane, is like this. So as we change the gravitational magnetic field of the center, the gravitational magnetic field of reactor 1, 2, and 3, if we call them anticlockwise, start interacting with each other. And then what we achieve is very significant. If you go back into this picture, or I do it again in a bigger scale, in the us looking at the reactor the way you see it on your pictures, on your live stream, we have a reactor which is sitting on a plate there. We have a reactor which is here. We have a reactor in the background and reactor here. These 3 are in one plane, and this one sits above it. So now what has happened is that these gravitational magnetic field interact spherically in this shape with each other, if you see it. And if you look at the cage, we have put our detectors not looking at any of the reactors, but looking into abyss, into field in the center of the height. So in a simple way, the figures you see is a reactor up here and 3 reactors in the base, and this they set like this, and 1 on the top, and the detector measures the field here in a space. So we cannot say it's the field of 1 core or one of the cores, because it's been specifically placed that it looks right in the center. What we've done originally, as you know, we changed, if you look at this setting, there is no difference between this setting and the setting of the single core with the center pin inside. What we've done now, we made the pin larger. We have connected this top core with a nano-coated material. We literally replicated what was in a single core in a total setting. So a nano-coated material is used to centralize the plasma of the 3 reactors on the base and the top, that the plasma does not run away in any position in the frame. So when we look at it, and the way we have mounted the nano-coated material in the center, we have fixed position, exactly as we fixed the position of the plasma inside here in the core. We have overall fixed the position of the reactors as a set in the cage in the center. So the field has 2 choices only. It can open up, if you look at the center beam and the top reactor and the other 3 reactors in the way, in the base. The field can only go up and down or expand. So now what our detector just outside this what do you call it, the 3 reactors, the 4 reactors, does not come into the sphere. It sits out of the sphere just outside, takes the field of the whole 3 base reactor and the mother reactor on the top, the principal reactor on the top. So when we give you a reading, or what you see a reading, the Z is what is coming from this imaginary empty space plasma, which you read at 74 at the moment, Tesla. This is the X. The Y you see is the same, if it's positive, and the Z you see is positive, X is positive. So this is our Z, this is our X, and this is our Y. So you give 3, you see 3 readings on the panel. So now you have to understand what we are doing and why you see such a thing. And interesting enough, if some of you been going through every minute with us during the process and most probably heard some of our conversation, we thought we are alone in the lab and we usually work as usual way, you should have noticed something very, very important yesterday. Extremely important. When, go through the videos because it's recorded. When we left the lab, we left the radio on. When we came in the morning, it was absolute silent. I was told, I thought that the lab is closed. I don't know, maybe you've seen me there with my dog going and looking at the reactor and seeing what's on. And then this silent was on when the knowledge seekers came about 10 o'clock. It was absolute silent, and I pointed out to the knowledge seekers, did any of you, did you put the radio on last night? And Marko said yes, but it was hardly any noise. He went and listened to the radio. He could hear like a whisper from the radio, very short. And then, as is our usual habit here, we have no timetable in what we do and the things we do. We had a discussion time till about 12:30, 1 o'clock outside the lab, sitting on the chair. We decided, Arman decided he's hungry, he's going to go for lunch. And so Marko and Arman disappeared and I disappeared, and we came back together again at about 3 o'clock, 3:30. And when we came back to the lab, Arman said, it's gone up, it's gone up. It's gone from 72 to 74. And it was exciting to see. Maybe that was a reason we had to go for a lunch. But the most significant thing was that as I was walking away from the lab, I could hear the music. I went back in, I said, are you listening? The noise is back. So what happened is that the total structure, when you look at the detector, sitting outside the plasma of the reactor, has reached so far beyond, I think the radio is what, 4 or 5 meters away? Maybe more, 7, 8 meters away from the core. The influence of the field of this is magnetical field, has reached beyond, and when the gravitational field contracted, the noise was back. But we saw exactly, if you go and watch the program during the time yesterday between I think about 1 o'clock and 3:30 sometimes, you see the increase in the field on the z-axis, which is 74, and simultaneously around that time you should hear the change of the noise in the radio. So this brings back into what we have shown in a very clear way. At the moment we are resetting the reactors. As we reset and we come to, we are doing a special case at the moment. We change things, we don't discuss till it's done, and we see the results. We keep the setting at 74 to see if we can add to the fields, because if we can get pulses higher, then it teaches us more that we are going in the right direction. So this has a huge, significant application. And as I said before, till you don't come to it, I don't teach you. When you come to it, I teach you and I explain to you. Rick has been asking me, would you teach us defense technology, or you do share it with the government? This is a part we share with you and the government, because I think even the government did not understand the significance of the process you had in the past 48 hours. This technology is not developed for military use. This technology, the way it's done, and it is for deep space. I have explained in the long bets to the knowledge seekers yesterday. In a space, you cannot keep on changing the gravitational field of your center where your passengers sit. You have to keep it a constant 1G, but at the same time being able to create a second layer of defense, as what we call not just the physical structure of the craft as we are accustomed to with the aeroplane, but the magnetic field shielding. And now for the first time you have seen it. You have physically felt it. You can put the radio on, listen. I went to the lab this morning, it's absolute silent. And we put the radio on before we leave last night. So it means the magnetical field has gone beyond. This is in military term, as I explained to the American officials in my meeting 2 years ago. This is how you capture aircraft. This is how, by extending the field, you do not allow the craft or ship to receive any communication line. We've seen this in the 5th of May Russian application of the technology, that the American crew could not even communicate internally within the board. Now, for the first time, we have shown it physically. Go through the lab time, you see this frequently. Now you understand why and how much change has been made. Vince asked me in a question, would this reach from here to whatever? I said it goes to the moon and beyond. So, in a way, a warning to the people who spend so much money building spy satellites, aircrafts, and whatever to kill another man. With a simple demonstration deliberately put on live that everybody sees, we have put an end to the most advanced weapon technologies available to man. And this is what we said to the government, it's time to talk peace. You see it virtually. We can show it. We control the gravitational magnetic field. We can allow you to hear what we want and what we don't want you to hear, because we control the space. This is why I said to the knowledge seekers, and when we open the video, if you go in the first minutes of it, that the space over the Keshe Foundation de Sensano in Italy has become a no-zone flight. Because within a distance, we know how much it is. We'll reach at the point that we can interfere with communication of any system, being aircraft, helicopters, or satellites. This is not done to create any fear, but this is the development of the technology which is tested. We are in a highly populated area, so these are inevitable. But strange enough is we can strengthen this field to over 400 to 500 Tesla. And in so many ways, our detector is set to go and be able to detect with certain amount of accuracy that kind of fields. We have achieved over 70 Tesla, which is a major breakthrough. The reason for its being a major breakthrough is that every time man has measured a field, thank you very much, is looking into a system. Now we have managed to measure a field in a space, which means we can shift this space to anywhere we like. We can shift by changing conditions in different reactors to the left of the setup or to the right, and to what distance we need. In a common matter language, you call it lasering. But in fact, we need this in a space that we can create a shield in the direction of flow once you enter, let's say, end of a comet. When a comet is running and it's got a vapor in the back and you pass through it, you need a shielding. So you can strengthen your shielding as a plasma in the direction of the flow. Even I've taught the knowledge seekers yesterday how you can create a very simple but effective second shielding within the first shielding, because they have to learn how to do it and teach you how to do it when you are here or when the production starts. So now we can create a second field of motion as red behind. The reason for this is very simple. When you go in the cosmic dust, the same as happened with us and the dinosaurs, if you have a single layer, a meteorite might enter in a certain angle that can penetrate through the field, and then it can hit the craft. Because this field is moving in this direction. Now that you've seen the work of the system, in the second layer or internal layer, you move in this direction. If you get penetration by a meteorite or any object, once it comes in, it can penetrate this, it'll get repulsed by the other one and it gets rejected. You reduce possibility of the interaction of any material in a space with a craft in motion. I told you from day one, we teach you everything, that you don't go in blind and you don't become a slave to the people in the space, because you are hungry to understand. Now you understand how an unpenetrable magnetic field sheets can be started. Something to realize, very important. The total diameter of these reactors is 2 centimeters. At the same time, you got to understand, because yesterday, late in the afternoon, because of the condition, you see Arman on the floor, we had the opportunity, the fortune of actually opening one of the reactors after operation. And when we opened the reactors, we saw exactly what we thought. The exact assumption which I showed you, which was an assumption, because we saw it in the reactor in a way which John made with the ceramic when he broke. Now we see it in operation after so many hours. This is exactly how the setting is in the reactor core when we open it up. The center is totally water, because before we open it, Arman went in with a syringe to see if you see a mixture of the gas and water. This you can post it there, no? If you go on the pictures of the past, which we shown the ceramic, you see it. We've seen the same feature in the central band area in the equator line of the reactor. So what has happened is now we know that a very, very, very thin layer of GaNs sits and works in this operation. When we open the reactor with the core, we have taken the pictures of it, video of it. In the future, we'll show it, we'll post it up. You see this feature. So now, very few plasmas around here which are loose are interacting with the center core. In the future, I'll teach you how to be able to raise more or less all the plasmas. But if you do that, you create such a field that you block any field, even radiation from the sun to the earth, with a small reactor like this. So you got to understand the development. We did not develop this technology for the purpose of defense. We have developed this technology for man in a space to be safe to travel, now that we open the doors of the space. And now, on the other hand, if you understood the work of the radio, go back and listen. You should be able to understand the warning to the military people. The most advanced spy satellites become obsolete if a nation decides, or the humanity decides, that we invest more money into development of space than finding ways to kill each other or silence each other. The time of the weapon technology in the most advanced way is over. In the coming days, you will see the motion. As I explained earlier on, the reason we went live was because we saw what I told you for months and past 2-3 years. When the reactor comes to interact with the gravitational field of the Earth, first thing you feel is a detachment from the Earth. And what happened, this is what Marko saw immediately, that he said the platform is shaking. But we checked. The shake is not due to vibration, because nothing was changed. The shake, we've seen it again, Arman checked it, and we've gone through it, is to do with the magnetic field interaction. What this means is the magnetic field which we created in that space in the middle of the cores, if these are the 4 reactors, and the field which created, this field has started interacting with the gravitational magnetic field of the Earth and trying to find its position. In the coming days, we are making adjustments. That what happens, let me explain to you first. When you have this vibration shake, if you have a solid position, you interact and you lift. But because we are on a hanging platform, so a small changes back and forth allows the condition for the field to escape out of the frame. We know this because you've seen it in the black reactors, and in the white reactor originally Arman put together, that we had a loose condition that the center core could feel and reject the fields. Now we've seen it in practice. So in the coming days, we rigidly control and block any vibration, that we can transfer the vibration of the platform in reaction to the Earth gravitational magnetic field to lift and motion. So humanity is ready to see the first time lift and motion without the wings and without jumping up a cliff, in a simple way. So this is what has been explained. This is where we are now. Some of you referred, or somebody referred earlier on, that Armand and Marko were working, or Marko was working, and John even was working earlier this week in showing the light. The significance of this process has been so much that we actually put everything else on the shelf for the time being, but the systems are made by Marko, is ready to be tested today, hopefully, with a slow flow to show the light. At the same time, we are setting up ourselves to be able to try to show lift and motion within the reactor structure. So what you're going to see most probably, if we do what we are thinking to do, you will not see as such weight reduction, because we're locking it in a way that we can lift the whole frame. The whole frame has to lift. And the frame, the structure, the box, is sitting on a platform like this, as you see with the orange legs. So we're going to lock it, that is solidly locked. There is no possibility of any vibration, that the fields have to show interaction between the Earth and gravitational magnetic field of the Earth. And for this reason, I said, when the time is right, we will show things that no government can interfere. That the knowledge spreads, and every government has the opportunity to, and every citizen on this planet with knowledge has access to what everybody else has, that they cannot abuse each other. So in the coming time, if you look at the structure, it tells you it's about 11.8 kilogram, but the total weight of the 4 cores is how much? 800 gram? Yeah, 200 gram each core, which is 400 gram. But again, you noticed that the core this time is made of copper, and we see no heat, because the interaction is not in the matter level. So you can build these cores out of anything you like. Chewing gum box to God knows, a cup you buy from a supermarket, from plastic, aluminium, anything you like. So the knowledge of a space is not like that only is made by Lockheed Martin and by Boeing or European Space Agency or Chinese aircraft industry. Now that you have the knowledge, all of you have become overnight part of the space technology, and you can do it yourself. Then it goes back why we were pushing the World Peace Treaty and why we kept on saying that there are no borders. I know a large number of governments listen to this program live and are monitoring our work. I know a large number of universities which are working in the background, testing whatever we do to validate themselves. Now, with the finances available to you, now you understand within a matter of days, we should see, or a matter of months, if they are too slow, public developing these systems for the energy and flight. The energy system is much cheaper and simpler than what we said. Now you have the gravitational magnetic field of your imaginary part. If you can strengthen and reduce one of the 4 cores, you create an unbalanced magnetic gravitational field, as Marko would like to say, gradient. And this gradient is what, if you can place what you did in your matter condition, where you put 2 nanomaterials coated with 1 metal in the middle, your 2 nanomaterial coated are the plasmas of 2 reactors. If you can stick the right material in between, what would you like, 100 kilowatts or 1 megawatt? The energy crises are over. Man-made energy crises are over, and now all of you can start doing it. You were looking to look at the plasma and see how the GANS does, and then getting a motor to do it. If we go in the right direction, within coming days, with the intelligence we have here with Armand and Marko, we will be able to show this to you in a very clear way in the coming time. So the reason we went live was very much, we brought you up from understanding of the matter to plasma, and now you see the full valuation of the plasma. Because of this new understanding and development, the Keshe Foundation tomorrow has already made preparation, and will be announced and be released tomorrow in the medical section. We will announce a major breakthrough in the health program of the Keshe Foundation. Dr. Elia has finalized the papers, and Wolf has done a correction into it, and now is going for publication. You understand how fast we are transferring the knowledge to you, and we bring it into practicality of the development. The first CO2 systems are getting ready to be shipped out. From tomorrow, a new type of units will be available from the Keshe Foundation. We explain the reason and how. This will bring the international cooperation of all of our knowledge in every angle. And then we see how and the way we can, spread the knowledge in different directions. This is not the way that knowledge has ever been spread around with mankind. We have put value on knowledge, but we haven't put value on peace, tranquility and unity. And we're changing the course this way. In the coming time, there is a second reactor, a small reactor, which Arman is running. You know about it. We told you where we positioned it in the last talk. This reactor will show its power of the control from a distance from the reactor, the setting. This is very important. So, in so many ways, we have brought you in a very, very, very simple way into the world of plasma, in a very beautiful way, in a very simple way, that every man can understand the possibilities and the acceptance and being able to develop it himself. We've done the same with our health section. We have done everything else with whatever we done. We left the material and the knowledge freely in the hand of the man. So now you understand the significance of past 3 days and how we open the knowledge, so open it rapidly, and we put it on the live stream. A lot of people were reading numbers. It's going higher, but you could not put the totality to it, what this number means. Hopefully I have managed to explain to you. With these numbers, we have shown we do not need materials to create high value plasmas of the high intensity needed for a space technology, where we look into literally the detector on the Z plane is looking into abyss. This is looking into the plasma. So we see how things are. Is there a problem? Marko?
No, it's not.
Is there a posting something?
No, I asked Armin to share, but no post.
What are you sharing, Armin?
No, screen sharing, not file sharing. Screen sharing.
What are you trying to share?
I prepared presentation, but I don't want to publish this file because they can change this thing.
Ah, okay, okay. It's to do with the presentation of Marko later on. As we said, from now on, each knowledge seeker has half an hour to present the technology or part of the technology which they think misunderstood or not understood by others in the in the sessions of the past. So now, as you've seen with the children's program, where we never thought about them about magnetic field and we jumped in directly into the plasma, and then with the second session last night we tried to explain it more for them to understand the behavior of plasma, that this become part of their thinking and the way they live. So if you understood, and the more we do, we put more systems live. When we go home you can watch. Realize one thing. At the present pharmaceutical, at the present military, at the present industrial level, papers are fabricated to suit the financiers, that they can do what they like. For example, we know a lot of medicines have a lot of side effects and the things, and the guy who does the PhD to get it is told, if you write this, your PhD will be rejected. So it's changed to suit the finances of the project, because they are interested in financing and making money, and secondly, they don't want to show they have failures. We only see bigger failure when the medicine comes out and then it doesn't work and we see more people with the side effects. In Keshe Foundation, we are not afraid of failure. That's why we go live online, you can see us. We sneeze, you see us. We succeed, you see us. We fail, you see us. And this is how it should be. The people who go around criticizing this and that because they never understood. So with their feeble mind, they have to assert their existence by trying to get attention. So these things, you see, this kind of mentality will disappear. As I said, as our webmaster said yesterday to the other people within the web structure, is that we are a team, we work as one, not as different. So add to the knowledge, but not criticizing, but adding to it. Because when you start, when I see comments like this and that, and I sit back, I say, you boys, they don't even understood. And then what they do, these people make a connection with the email, or they've seen, or they've been here, or whatever. I'll tell you stories a lot of people around the foundation know. How people abuse being or knowing about our work. 2-3 years ago, I was giving a lecture, maybe 100 or more people. A gentleman, very, very dignified gentleman, came to me and he said, excuse me, Mr. Keshe, do I have time to talk? Am I allowed to speak to you? I said to him, am I allowed to speak to you? Why? He said, I'm Professor so-and-so. I've come and listened to your lecture, and the gentleman who introduced me to the technology, he says I need his permission to be able to speak to you. I said, who's that gentleman? He showed me the gentleman in distance in the room. And I said, I only spoken to the guy once or twice, I don't even know him, but he said he represents you, so I need his permission to speak to you. I said, a professor at your position, I need your permission to be able to speak to you. So you see the abuse of being and talking and knowing they've been near the foundation. If somebody is good enough to be able to be part of the foundation core center, will stay with the foundation core center. Doesn't matter whereabouts in part of the world you are. If you do not work with the ethics of the foundation, you find yourself distance more. So instead of splitting to show for you to be recognized to be dysfunctional, allow the foundation as a worldwide to go ahead. I receive a lot of professional, correct communication and asking for a knowledge expansion from the Chinese scientists. And I try to respond to them in the limited time I have. I know Chinese scientists were concerned about the validity of the detector. If you look, this detector is not a 3T. On the scale we have a control. And now we're sitting at what, Marko? 20 Tesla, the scale.
20 Tesla.
Yeah. So, and they say there is no reactor, no detector which can do this. We have paid a lot of money to be able to show you the reality, and we paid a lot of money and time for it to be developed the way we want. So we can measure 20 plus. But ask us how we do it, what we done. You prepare to pay the finances to set the things they are. This detector was sitting all the time outside, was never put inside, because I knew what we are about to see and what is coming when the knowledge is ready for the people to understand. We can go into 200, 300, 400 Tesla. You will see and you understand the reason why in the coming time. If you look, we placed, when we were placing the detector outside the environment of the box, we were into 0.02 Teslas. We had a professor from plasma technology of the fusion of the Italian, one of the leading nuclear plasma people here. And he criticized, you're just measuring few milliteslas. And in a way to respond to them, we brought it now in-house, and we can see we can do hundreds of Teslas. These detectors are built to do these kind of jobs. We customize it. There are more customized systems coming in for plasma measurements. So you have to be ready for us to be able to extend the knowledge. This is the position. More or less from 2 weeks ago, when I said up to now we thought matter, and now from now on is plasma. Now you can see the work of the plasma in open space, 100, 200 Teslas will become like a apple and pears on every shelf of the scientific world. Cost of producing. I seen Marko telling me to produce, what was it? Few Teslas, how much what they need? Somebody posted so many kilowatts of energy they need to produce it. It's on the live stream apparently. He says you can read it. So you see, with less than 10 watt, we can produce Teslas behind, because we don't do it. We create. This goes back to the essence of communication, understanding the technology. We create the conditions. We do not build system to do it. We put very small reactors and we allow the conditions created to create another environment. As I said, for example, now we are setting this reactor. It's been set last night by Arman to test this, to show this validity of this technology, that we can move in the coming time the plasma, the sphere, which is what it's very much like iClouds. You know, now you have your computer memory in the clouds. We have created a plasma cloud. Now you can do all sorts of things with this. You can package a man in this plasma and send this package to anywhere at any speed you like. Transport. In time we start showing you understand, because to you is beyond your understanding. Now we're going to plasma condition. This is what we're going to do. In the coming time, we start the first setting of it last night with Arman, was working on it till about 8 o'clock last night, is that we try to move the plasma out of the frame of the setting of the reactor cores. What it means, we start moving the detector to find out where the plasma sits outside in the open space. So outside of it you might read 0.02 Tesla, and then when we find the plasma, if you can do, you read 70, 100, 200 Tesla. This is in our capability. We have the knowledge, and in time I have started teaching. I find it pleasurable to work with Arman and Marko in a very close way, and it is built up a team for development of the reactors and the development of the technology in a beautiful way. So now we have Dr. Elia joining us, and as I said, in the coming days and months you see more professional people who understand and work within the frame of the foundation to come in to develop and teach you and teach us. As I always say, I'm still a student, but you got to understand one thing. On any circumstances, the knowledge we give you so freely, the more knowledge which is dispersed from the foundation and other foundation members around the world, cannot, will not, and shall not be used to harm another soul. People who get hurt, they come to hurt themselves, and they find out by being deprived of it, they blame others for it. We have started yesterday remote control, or the day before, the remote control of the plasma by Arman. In trying for him, by sitting outside the lab with the connections with the material he has in his possession, to control the movement of the reactor or increase or decrease of the plasma within the imaginary space. And I think we have seen some results in a very insignificant way, but we have to prove it and check it and recheck it. This is what we call remote control, what do you call it? Remote control through the thoughts of the plasma, because now you cannot send and change the speed of the reactor. And Arman has started this process as of yesterday or the day before, and as we develop more and more and more, what is this? You're trying to tell me something? Yeah, just right. Yeah. Okay. So we disperse with the knowledge live. We keep the reactors and video cameras here in the lab for the next 2 or 3 days, and then at the same time, I don't like the cameras to be all the time and the audio to be always open in the lab, because we do things. It's a normal situation. Lab experiments is not, we are not paid to be actors and actresses. So you see us, as I said, I was told that the reactor was on the floor, the camera was closed. I come in, I want to see the effect of it. I go on my hands and knees, and with my dog coming, playing with me, and so people see these things should not. I think, in a way, it shows us we are human, but on the other hand, it shows we have to work within the structure in what we can do. The whole process is very simple. The whole structure is very simple. Yesterday, there's a delay on this video a long time. I haven't had a pen in my hand for a long time. It's still there. It hasn't come in yet. That's how it is. We're going to wait for a few minutes. When I put the pen down, it'll be about a minute now. So there we are. The pen is gone down. Amazing. It takes time. So you lot with the pictures are in a slow motion capacity. So what you will see, as I explained yesterday, if you see in the videos, because we thought we were off, Arman and Marko were sitting and watching and looking and doing everything, poking around the box to see if there was anything. And one of the things which I noticed when I went in the lab, I always tell them, look at the dust on the floor, look at the shape of the dust, or whatever, you understand. Look at everything, sound. Then you become aware of totality. And yesterday we have seen out of nowhere 2 material dust rings which they come together between the 2 reactors on the side of the detector. So we start for the first time analyzing in what we see and how we see and what is happening and what is about to happen. And now we see the gravitational magnetic field of the reactors creating a matter border, very much like clouds around themselves, and they have a very clear what do you call it, lining. It's very nice. We see it on the board. It's like 2 what do you call it, quarter spheres coming together of materials, and so we can maybe explain part of it because we see metals. Arman said I was working here and there was a, but I said if you're working, you were drilling a hole in the wood, not a metal. So there is no sign of the wood, but the metals is there. So this is happening more and more, and then we allow you to see more and more. The whole structure is changing, the whole teaching capacity is changing, and I think there will be more news in that line with the health section tomorrow, and there will be more news from our side here, and we see what do you call it, how far we go. There is another point, and this is very, very significant to explain. The Keshe Foundation Health section to do with Ebola has gone, or today at the moment is 9 o'clock here. And by this morning when we finish, we enter live testing of Ebola by national institutes, governmental institutes under control of the central government. No technology has been taken up so rapidly by anyone, anywhere in the world. So all the technology we developed is handed over to the government officials, and we have been asked directly by the officials, please, as of today, do not release any more information about the Ebola test till we announce it through the government and through the office of the national office. Because apparently last week when the demonstrations of the technology was done at the presidential residence for the technology, there were some news people in the room, and they have pointed out in the national papers or in the broadcasting that they have found a solution for Ebola by just trying to explain the process. And scientists, as we are aware from Harvard, been available to assess, and they have, according to the email I received, they have said, we take our hats off to you in what you have discovered. So Now we know American universities are aware of this development, and it's so simple. Our guys literally walked in, the professors and the doctors, with a bucket and a paper, the same thing as you done more or less, but in a different way. And at the beginning it was very laughable, but when they understood the simplicity of the technology, within a matter of time now we are going for a live test by the officials, and you will not hear anything from us, as is the request of the government, in what will be developed. The same technology becomes available to the second nation this week, so that if one nation decides not to disperse with the knowledge sits with two and third nation. And as I'm sure the scientists as advisor of the government were present in the presentation, they have already transferred the knowledge into Harvard and other American universities to start the process of development and looking into it how it can be done. So if need be, we release the name of the professor from Harvard so that people can track within his department what is happening in Harvard, and it doesn't become exclusivity and money making for everywhere the knowledge was dispersed freely to everybody else. So on that front, we know that we expect, if the results are in the correct way, the solution will be fine for not only Ebola, solution will be fine for E. coli. The one name which I can never mention it is culture blah 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 something, which happens in a lot of hospitals. These are all viruses. AIDS virus, they can find a pathway into it directly, and the total of processing will cost less than a few cents per patient. If the results are correct, is not just virus of the Ebola which we are looking into, is totality of virus, and at the same time the knowledge we receive back from the university and from the governmental labs will tell us how to handle the viruses in the space in a more effective way, which is connected to, or get connected to, the amino acid of the human being. So at that level, the progress will be understood. There was a certain confusion with the scientists and the universities and the advisors of the government that there has been, due to the papers published, nanomaterials do not affect microbes. So we don't see why what is happening. I explained to the scientists in the university in a simple way. Microbe is in a matter state of the plasma. Viruses connect the matter state to the energy of the environment of the plasma. So they behave as a maggrav system. And one of the things we see with diseases like Ebola is that the bleeding, and I've explained to them in writing exactly the bleeding. Why the bleeding is because the energy of the plasma, as I explained last week, extracts the energy from the plasma of the red blood cells, and they become small enough that they can pass, though thin enough that they can pass through the wall of the blood vessels, and we see bleeding with it. The same thing, the same process as I've written to them, happens with your digestion system. The Ebola absorbs all this energy which is within the body, and then the material are very weak to go through, and they go through the stomach, and that's why you see all sorts of problem with the diarrhea. Now we understand the problem. So with immediate usage and application of the certain specific type of, what you call it, the GANs, we link these viruses, instead of linking to the amino acid of the body and the food, to themselves. So the link is not there. We don't destroy the virus. We circumvent the virus energy to link up to the amino acid protein. And if this can be done, so as the virus evolves, it still has an energy. Evolves in a amino acid link. It does not evolve in its gravitational magnetic field link. So the GANs should be applicable to any disease, even they mutate. But it has advantage because it has entered the body of the man in connection with the amino acid link. Now that is weakened and the body has seen how it's done, the body hopefully will make a serum for itself to defend itself. So as we say, with one stone we kill two birds. One is the reduction of the, what do you call it, the effect of the disease. Secondly, the body hopefully have the chance to bring and operate and deliver its own immune system for viruses. This is a major breakthrough in the world of medicine, if we can do it. I have a warning for pharmaceutical people. I've seen some concerns in the pharmaceutical world about what we are doing. Once we develop this technology in different aspects, even with what we're going to announce tomorrow, not every man will be able to make this because they don't understand it and what they need. Our technology, as we've done with the Japanese government and the universities in South Africa and other institutes around the world, we give you our understanding, our data and our work freely to you. So you do not see us as a danger to take over your market. We give you a new market with much more application. So in a way, we invite pharmaceuticals, health authorities and other institutes to come in and work with us, because at the end of the day, you're going to be benefited by it. The faster facilities, the more scientists we have around us, the more we can together develop the technologies which can help. But the beautiful with this thing is, we will not see Microsofts of billions and then influencing the others. Because every man will make it, every country has availability to the same knowledge. It will be sharing, but in the right way and making money in the correct way that everybody gets benefit by it. I've seen our Chinese friends have translated the Keshe CO2 video with the Chinese subtitle. Our Chinese colleagues, I know, runs to thousands and millions of you there. We are doing and looking at the foundation work, and you're trying to do things of it yourself. Please look at the CO2 and then understand what we done in the videos we release live. You should be able to clean up the environment of the cities in a very, very rapid way. In the coming time, we will show you how to do it and how you can do it. And in so many ways, in a simple way, which most probably you didn't understand what I explained earlier. A plasma or two plasmas in two small reactors have dictated the positioning of the matter around them, as we've seen with what I call the crumbs in the sphere shape. This gives you a very clear understanding. You manage to create a CO2 environment gravitational magnetic field around the container of the water. Now, for the first time, we have seen how plasmas can create gravitational magnetic field of matter, that they can position them where they like and how they like to be. This is what we see, for example, in the rings of the Saturn, by the size of the icebergs and what they are, and in other gaseous planets. This shows for the first time that plasmatic magnetic field of the certain matters can be made to be effective where you need it. You don't need to make the CO2 container. In a coming time, you can make the gravitational magnetic field of whatever you need. I have seen people who went and did the crazy thing, and they have started to make in the gans of gold. And they have sent me emails. And strange enough, they're Germans. But I've seen them posting it on. The Keshe Foundation will run a test like this officially in the coming days. We have requested for plates of gold-plated material to be supplied to us. We are waiting for it to become available. We measure the plate in nanominuscule, how much gold was used in nanominuscule, and then we position them in a condition, and then when we collect the gold vapor, whatever it is, as a plasmas, we'll measure the scale back on to see if it is not release of the CO, what do you call it, the gold as we've seen with the CuO copper plate, or is the extraction from the environment. And when the data is available, we release it further and further more to you. Is there any question? I've been talking to myself.
Pertaining to the gold, sir. Pertaining to the gold example.
Has that eluded you again?
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you.
Okay, very good. The gold example that you just gave, I'm using a titanium-based metal, and I have a gold result as well in a crystal form structure. On the bottom
you have
of
extracted it?
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
Please.
Yeah.
Qualify and quantify the method is just. Can you explain to us what you've done?
I can show you what I've done. I have it set up right here.
Can you go back and share a screen? Let
Yes,
us.
sir.
I'm waiting. Marko is changing something for me. If you share, I'm gonna go off that. We can.
I'll just share it. I'll share it on the Skype so you can see it on Skype.
Okay, please. Yeah, we have a problem in receiving videos. Maybe we can see it on the live stream.
Yeah.
Go back on the live stream, please. Yeah.
And I have a series of reactors set up as well.
Let us go step at a time, please. Please.
Okay.
Let us go step at a time. We're trying to link up with your video at the moment. Can we see it? Can anybody see the video?
This should be coming, so just a moment.
No, we're not getting. We have a problem with the Skype pictures, videos. There's too many people, I think, on the line in Skype. That's what the reason is for us. But the thing is, go on the live stream. Let's go look at live stream. Oh, we're still on the space. By the way, while you're trying to get the pictures up, let me explain to you that the foundation website team as a whole, if you look, are achieving new things. The website forum has changed quite a bit in the past 24 hours. As we said, advertising has become part of the features to raise funds for the foundation's research. And very soon other materials will change on the website, and Keshe Foundation Institute as a teaching website is nearly up and running in the coming maybe a few days. So you can register and become a student as a university, and the teachings will go through that way. Okay, we see a bucket. That's all we see. Can you explain, please?
Are you seeing this now?
We see.
Check 1, 2.
We see some white material at the bottom of the box.
Just to be aware, there's going to be some delay on live stream.
Okay.
Oh, there's going to be a delay? Okay. Okay. This vessel right here.
Yeah, we see white stuff at the bottom of it.
Yes, that's PPT out of the water. This, let me explain the setup. This setup has been here for 5 days. I took the cap off just now, placed this element in it. This is water from my well that goes through a double carbon system. So there are minerals contained in here. It's good drinking quality water from my well. Okay, and what you're noticing in the bottom as form of crystals are the direct PPT from the water, utilizing this array of configurated cells. all the materials in these cells are uniform in nature and from the same forging lot. The configurations of this one was the first cell that I made to condition water. Quite simply, I make a DI water, I guess you could say it's DI, but it's a good drinking quality water. You could also call it distilled water, but yet it's still a good drinking quality water. I'm trying to stir up and get the bubbles that are just residually stuck to leave. And you can see the minerals, they're non-reversible, so they fall out of the saturation, and they don't easily reverse. I can tell you that by experimental value. I came upon these phenomenons with water trying to deal with hydrogen and extracting sound out of the hydrogen. I guess I call it a reverse reverb sound. And so I have a certain reaction here that happened on this cell, and it became, I used to make a pint of water at a time when working with the cell years ago. It produces an electrolysis, obviously, okay? This little cell produces very little electrolysis. But that's the beauty of it. It produces just a very little specific amount of electrolysis. Okay, so I hook it up in reverse to condition it before I use it. So I hook it up the other way. To actually.
Can you show us what you say the
water.
gold material you made?
Yes, I'm going to make it right before your eyes. I've been trying to work with camera stuff. It doesn't take very long for it to result on the bottom of this. But the temperatures here inside the shop are definitely governing the reaction.
So what you're doing, where does the gold come from? Can you explain to us? Where does the atoms or molecules or plasma of the gold come from?
I believe the gold results, it's an environmental draw from the environment, open environment. And I also think the first component is actually found inside the water in my well, which comes in contact with.
We are getting you broken up pieces. It's not coming clear.
Hello.
Hello. We can't hear you. You just break up in pieces.
Okay. Let me adjust this gain on this computer.
I don't think it's your end there, Dan. Just one moment here.
Okay.
Somebody turned on video for a second, so just trying to mitigate that. How's my voice on Skype there, Mr. Keshe?
Clear. Yeah, very clear. We hear you clearly.
I'm very clear. Okay, so I'm going to try the screen sharing again, and this, hopefully you guys can be able to see it this time.
Should I try a reset, Vince?
No,
not yet. Not yet. Just stay there.
Okay.
So explain to us, please.
Okay.
Just let me know when the picture's coming through, because I'm sharing again.
Okay. Yeah, I got it now. Okay. How about now? Can you hear me, Doctor?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. I believe the first component is actually in the water coming out of my well. I believe I have a gold mine of a well. That's first and foremost.
We all have.
Second component, yes, exactly, as you say, continuously from any point to any point. But I do think there are shortcuts or wormholes or vortices that take you different places, point to point, quicker than others in a form of time difference. But I believe the primary component comes from my well. I believe it's gold. It's there. It's in saturation. It's in a certain minor amount that could probably be observed.
Can you extract this and get it to be assayed if it's a gold or not? It costs about $150 to $200 to be assayed by SGS International Assay Organization. SGS can clarify it or send it to laboratories.
I can make an extractable amount. Anyways, it's going to sit here. It's going to make an amount on it in 45 minutes. But I've taken this technology for years. I've developed that metal element into these. I've got boxes of these that I've made. Okay, I produce my own materials. This is the same lot billet material as that. It's a titanium LE grade 26 material. It was a batch from 1962, airframe, flight from a certain base produced this for airframes. And so I found the same grade and tested it by assay in Philadelphia of another lot of material, and the metal looks like this.
Do you nano coat the titanium first?
I do. I have a series of nano coat process steps. The titanium.
No, do you nano coat? No, let me go back to, because the way we produce nanomaterial through the caustic is totally different than when you get a nano coated rings. The nano coated done by the way we do in Keshe Foundation is creating plasmas on top of each other, where the other nano coating is what do you call it? Putting paint on, which is totally different.
This is not an electroplate process. This is a pure nano coat process. I use liquids just to create conditions. I use liquid reactions only to produce a certain level of conditions. I'm not in it for product reactivity. Okay.
No, I just wanted to know how you coated your nanomaterial.
Okay, I'll explain. I extract a few different oxide powders. One of them is zirconium oxide. Another one of them is titanium dioxide. I don't extract, but I do buy tin oxide and indium oxide. I use these oxides in a dry form on the titanium and a couple other metals. And when I do that, all I'm doing is I'm producing a condition on the surface with them, not for reaction purposes. The titanium dioxide winds up going off into an effluent subproduct stream, and in that form then provides the same for the series reactor, the series inline series reactor that's next in line. And then that titanium dioxide then winds up all the way through the whole series, and then I wind up back again with a dry product at the end for recovery. Okay, but then I use a chemical process other than a saline process. I have worked with some heavy hydroxides, potassium hydroxides, so different combinations of sodium hydroxides and the like. And I have settled on a 3-step process to yield a fluid that gives me exactly the same time result no matter what metal I put it against. The different levels of powdered oxides that I condition my other metal surfaces actually provide for IE printing or direct magnetic printing spaces. So I'm setting up the condition to magnetically attract however thin a line or thick a line I can draw on a 2D paper. So I use these liquids, and I guess I'll take you over here through the lab, and I'll show you 30 gallons that comes from this reactor series right here. And this is modeled after a black hole that's proportional to the bistar of our system, which is the red dwarf. And I collect this stuff in such mass amounts, and it's super reactive. It takes the nano coat, no matter what you apply it to. I collected in these 5-gallon carboys right here. These are sitting out. They're temperature independent. The top layer freezes in the winter only, and that means that the liquid is over water. Also has super saturation of water in it, right? When it freezes, this top layer right here freezes only. Right here.
How much gold have you extracted yet?
In 30-gallon. I'm sorry?
How much gold have you managed to extract?
Now let's go back to our reactor.
Hello?
Yes, I'm right here. Oh, it's been on. I was unplugged in the back. That's why. I'm having a bit of technical difficulties in this moment.
No, I just wondered how much visible gold dust or gold plasmas have you managed to extract?
I can actually see the amounts with my eyes. I tried to get resolutions in the optics for the camera the past couple weeks. Got a couple of different cameras here.
Where is the gold? Floating or is sinking at the bottom?
See if we can get the light right.
Dan, I think
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Vince.
Sorry, Dan. I think that Mr. Keshe was asking how much have you extracted in total throughout your entire processes in total? Estimate.
I don't know, because I always considered it to be a byproduct, and it wasn't as of till recently that I actually physically inspected this. I'd used it so many times. I just filter out the minerals. I saved the minerals. Put those in crystal reactors, resonant tubes. But I can't answer that question because it's a recent discovery of inside a processing that I've been doing for years. But you'll notice that I'm going to try and get it. But the bottom of this has a gold hue to it. I just can't get these correct, but the bottom has a gold hue. You can barely see it, maybe a little bit from that. There we go. Okay, which is unlike what you see the rest of it look like. Top, bottoms, or sides and the top.
You know that according to statistics and research, there is more gold in the water than actually is in the land. So. I know in water wells you find gold because it's the way it gets washed atomically and molecularly down. So if the thing is, if you have managed to extract, we understand that.
You can see the gold hue. You can see the gold hue on the base metal, and that is only from electrolysis, electroplating the gold onto the base metal. Okay, yeah. But I can see in these ridges, and I just cleaned this off the other day inside the water. It comes right off. I mean, it's held so loosely, it comes right off. But there's a little piece of gold right there. It's a little corner different.
Yeah, but would it be? Anyway, can we carry the process?
But I can't quite get the camera.
No problem. No problem.
Yes, I can reproduce this, and Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
gold extraction from the
Okay,
water is
so this led me
something
to
we
my newest discovery of my old work. Here's the gold. I'm going to show you the color difference.
You
This
see it.
top
I can see the yellow dust. Yeah.
difference. This is
But get
super
it.
shiny base metal. It stays that way.
If you can get it assayed what it is exactly, not just
that
because
one
it
there
looks like
is
gold.
oxide. But this is in a baked on form, I think. Right.
But
Now
the thing
this
is, if
is
you can
plated on like gold extract from the other, from the cathode side. This is the anode. Say it again. Hello?
Yes, we are looking.
Hello?
We are looking. We see what you can show.
I'm here, Dan. Just hold on a second. I think they're looking. So.
Okay. So let me show you this reactor, this particular reactor here, because all of these reactors wind up becoming gold plated, except for platinum in the configurations I use. The platinum remains with its original color, and I get some amazing results when I speed the reaction up. But the results don't wind up on the cathode or the anode this time because there's much more energy being excited. There's much more excitation, I should say. So let me go ahead and turn this one on. I have a reactor series that I can show the different states of hydrogen. And I can actually come pretty quickly up to speed with these jars. I just got to go in the other lab and grab some. But each one of these different reactors shows difference in the manner in which it creates a cloud. Okay. Now this reactor flashed real quick. I'll show it to you again. It's about 64 degrees air temp in here. Let me see if I can get it a little closer so you can see the flash. Okay, time 0, time +1. Okay, it flashes real quick, and the production in this particular cell is a very high production, but the quality of the cloud, it just started. Now I've been running these reactions in this is nothing but water in here, plus the minerals. But once the minerals are in a certain PPT amount versus the liquid, you have high reactivity in the same jar of water. Now you'll notice the clouds look milky on this particular reactor. That's because this reactor is causing the hydrogen to exhibit the qualities and properties of oil. So what you're looking here is the hydrogen mimicking oil in the water. Okay, but you'll notice it does eventually go and cloud the whole thing. And there's a small auroral gathering of density down here above the minerals. Okay, so that's one. So we'll turn that one off. That's 12 volts DC, 7.1 amps. And it does get hot because I don't have the AC recirculation circuit on here because I'm absorbing.
Yeah, you developed a process to extract gold from the water.
Okay, this is the. Yes, sir. Yes, I did. Complete reactor series process. And not just gold either. Sulfur is another big one that I believe is resulting. And there's a couple other ones. I think my source has a a fraction of excitation from molybdenum also.
This is mainly chemical reaction, isn't it?
This one. You see the cloud has dissipated. We'll wait a couple more seconds for that. No chemical reaction here. This is just water and the gases are the minerals that supersaturated the water. Okay, now I have this jar back here, which is the same, but I've mimicked these catalysts and produced these catalysts. Okay, so here's the reactor setup. It's a little bit cloudy just because the minerals are closer to being out of supersaturation, not because there's floating bubbles. Okay, so we're stepping back the concentration of supersaturation. So times 0 to 1. Now this one, you'll notice the cloud starts to release bubbles here. It's a different kind of excitation going on because there are larger bubbles. So you have a different concentration of oxygen in this one. This one is mainly an oxygen creator. Now notice the cloud structure, it doesn't start here and grow. It literally just starts over the hole and becomes more vibrant. Okay, in this oxygen, I have extreme ultraviolet being created because I have O3 coming off of this. And for that reason, I'm not going to run it too long. But you'll notice the hydrogen bubbles that do saturate and become suspended, but they don't stay here long. The surface tension doesn't hold them, and they fleet readily, which causes a vapor, the water to be carried up here and deposit as a vapor. But instead of, this is a running vapor. So it started out as a running vapor, not as a collection of vapors that condensed and gravitationally moved or conflued in gravitational terms. So you'll notice that there still is no defined cloud structure, okay, throughout. You'll have to take my thing here. We got some echo imaging in the background. So we'll turn this one off. Okay, development here. And we see with this one, again, no temperature, but we have a darkening effect of the electroplated gold process here. And there's also a scale. Scrape it off. There's a scalar effect too, okay? And we have a perfect, and that's all on the negative. That's all on a pole. So we have a single shaft exhibiting a DC pulse, and we don't have the AC component picking it up yet. So we'll go on to the next reactor, okay? None of these shapes, none of these lengths, all of this stuff has been calculated for. This is not hodgepodge, except for this butyl rubber that you see here. There's 2 rings of butyl here, then there's 2 more underneath here, and 2 more here. And it's just because I didn't cut and form the PTFE ones or the Delwyn ones yet. Okay, so we'll go ahead and hook this one up. Stand by 1. Got to make sure the camera's looking correctly. So I can test that hydrogen exists in 4 primary states that we need to concern ourselves. It's solids, liquids, and gas and plasma. Absolutely incongruous with everything that you say. I just have a slightly different language about me, I'm noticing, the nomenclature. Okay, so zoom in. Okay, so we'll start this times 0, start. Okay, now mind you, you're seeing all types of different reaction rates, and they're all based on mass and surface area. Okay, and this one, it exhibits the quality of The last one exhibits the quality of metal. The first one exhibited the quality of oil, and this one actually exhibits the quality of gas. What you can notice is it actually does form a density cloud here. You can't tell the transition, okay, but it does eventually consume density levels, and the density levels will keep increasing until you can't see the object. So this is a time
Have you
lapse
ever,
of something you want.
can I ask you a question? Have you ever processed in your lab anything like with the oil, what you call gasoline, or with a fuel for a car to see what material you have in it?
I have 3 laboratories. This one that we're standing in is my clean construction laboratory. Even I consider the dirt in here clean. The biologicals love to visit me in here from outside, so they come and they go. Spiders mostly like to gather around these reactions when I turn them on. The big ones.
No,
like,
what I want to know, have you ever tested oil? What do you call it? What do you buy? A gasoline? Have you ever tested to see what composition of material is in it?
Yeah, I'm in the drilling business, the oil business, boat business, the undersea construction business.
What is the level of uranium in your oil?
What oil from what part of the world?
Anywhere part of the world. Majority of the oil we see residue of uranium or radioactive materials that through the process you have extracted what it is and how much, for example, you have. You know, one of the reasons they do the land decontamination nowadays, if you buy a property which there is oil on it, or there used to be a petrol station, they ask you the land has to be removed, the earth has to be removed up to 4 meters, 6 meters in Europe now. One of the reasons is that are known to general public, like the way you've seen gold in your water from your well, as the oil is produced on top of the surface of the lakes and oceans and converts into amino acid, and it goes through the motion of the waves, it gets mixed up and then it settles at the bottom of the, what do you call it, the lakes or the rivers or the oceans, and then it goes through the different layers of the earth. It not only gets filtered, but it absorbs what cannot become life. It absorbs, attaches itself to other minerals, which is on its path till it reaches a sink pump, or it just sinks into in a cavity in the lower layers of the earth. And in this process of literally going through different layers, it absorbs and it washes microscopic or atomic levels of different materials on its path. And in the oil industry, extraction of the radioactive materials is something which is never considered, because it's, firstly, it's very costly, and secondly, for the amount of material used, it has no value in a way to do it, or doesn't compensate for it. But so in the oil industry at the present, they allow all the radioactive materials or chemically radioactive materials to go into the fuel which is sold as a gasoline. One of the reasons that people don't understand why you need to dig so many meters of the oil, what they call earth, from the grounds of these stations, is because every fuel. When you tank your car with fuel, you literally tank certain residual of nuclear material which is not cleaned up in the refining process because it's too expensive. And then this is part of the contamination, which is we see in the atmospheric contamination. We put these radioactive materials back into atmosphere, and we never talk about it because it's a very, 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 what do you call it, unpleasant to tell people we're blowing back plutonium back at you at the exhaust of the car. nobody will drive a car. So this is not unknown. Let me tell you how I know this. I used to be, you say used to be, no, I used to be in the oil business. As part of one of my companies, we used to deal with refined oil and crude oil years ago. So I looked at it. How can we refine without expenses, so much expenses? To extract, to extract gold is good. We make money, but extracting radioactive materials was not profitable, so it's easy to go down. Let me give you a news which a lot of people listening to.
8 years ago,
Yeah.
8 years ago, I was asked to design an FPSO, which is a oil refining over the water, sitting at the pad or the monobui. And they asked me to do it in 6 weeks, and they asked me to uphold a tier 6 level technology, which didn't mean anything to me practically then, but it does now. So I did. In 6 weeks, I produced prints and the wherewithal to build, actually assemble ready-made pieces and to utilize turbine technology and as centripetal force machines. And it was so revolutionary, the output numbers, that they decided to go back to the conventional drawing board. I understand what you're talking about. I didn't understand exactly the full extent of your question. Yes, I'm used to seeing it in trillions. Okay, 0.00001 quantity base quantities and a slight bit above. Yes, the residual materials there, you know, we're living proof that dinosaurs existed, and you know, we're air breathers and we're contained, you know, water. So we got dino water, as you say, in our bodies. So the residual radiation and the recycling of that radiation, as you so elegantly stated, is the condition that exists, and so therefore, like that exists, the others exist, and multiple species in between exist as well.
Yeah, but what it is in the oil industry, the extraction of radioactive materials is not considered to be financially and politically viable. And one of the things I was explaining to in a talk I was giving on Saturday in a conference, and to the knowledge seekers, is that no one knows except elite in the oil industry that, for example, if you know in a 1 barrel oil you pay $100 for at the moment roughly, about 47% of this material comes to the refined oil or gasoline and whatever you use for different kind of burning of fuel. The other material in the residual, as you shown in your system, where you have gold from the water from your water well, contains most rare earth materials. So what this means, $100 barrel of oil, in about 3% of the 100, what do you call it? 100% of a barrel of oil, which is about, let's say, whatever kilogram, is very, very expensive materials, which makes millions for refineries. Refineries make money out of these rare earth materials and other byproducts. So $100 barrel of oil, in fact, at the end, runs into million plus profitable material when you look at it in the way it's processed. And what they sell to public as what they call fuel, as gasoline, it should be given to you. For example, you go to a petrol station, I was explaining, you go to petrol stations, how much do you give me to tank your fuel? Because the oil industry makes such a huge amount of profit out of oil, of the, what do you call it, the residual and the material which is in the oil, that they have to give you the oil free. But because nobody is aware of it, that kind of, that surplus 3 kilogram out of the barrel the money of it always goes like into waste. That is like a waste, but in fact it cleans up later on to huge $1 million process. Because some of the rare earth materials, as you know, they are about $5, $6, $10,000 per milligram. So the process is that I always say to people, if the world population decides to say for a month we are not touching the fuel, we don't use any fuel, you'll find the fuel stations people, the oil industry people will stand outside and they give you like, we give you a full tank plus $200 cash. We give you, the other company will give you a full tank of fuel plus $500 cash. Because the money made on that surplus is so huge that it's worthwhile them to do so. But they make a situation that is going to be so scarce that we tank and we pay more and more for it. My opinion, when I used to be in this game for a long time, a long time in the oil industry and in oil business as part of one of my companies, was when people become aware of what we are doing, they slaughtered the oil companies. The fuel should be given to man, or the fuel as it is now. We brought the plasma technology, is finished, is obsolete. Yeah? So we see that there is no, what do you call it, there is no need for fuel consumption, and now you learn how to do it and we learn more. I always said to my colleagues, when people understand that we have to pay them for them to use our fuel, because, but let me explain to you what's the reason. If you have a barrel of oil, and at the end of it, 40%, 45% of it is there and is not taken away, the refiners will be clogged up with this material. What can we do? We can't put it back in the sea. So a false market is created. Because if people say we don't want to touch the fuel anymore, what is the refiners going to do? We need more Fukushima tank every day next to every position in every refinery. So the refining process and refineries, I always used to say to the people around us, you know, people are so unaware, the market has been made so unimaginary that we can tell them $1,000 a liter because they want to go from A to B, they pay the $1,000 a liter. But in fact, we should pay you $10 to get the rubbish out of our refineries, otherwise we can't make money. And this is what is not understood by people.
Right.
Refining business, if it doesn't get rid of its, what do you call it, waste material, which is what they sell to you and you're prepared to pay half of the wages you earn a week for it to be able to go to work to earn that other half, should be given to people plus money on top. This is not somebody who doesn't know what I used to be in this game. And now that we open the plasma technology, we can show that you can travel with a few cents, you'll find out if the events go the way you should do, the refinery companies will pay you to buy fuel from them. We give you a fuel tank free plus $100, $200. This I explained in my talk last week and to the knowledge seekers. It's just that this hype that oil was made after dinosaurs and there were a few dinosaurs who died, we have already burned every single oil that dinosaurs have in the first 10 years of oil industry. We have shown it, that's why we published the oil protein and thing on the website. And this is that oil is not created by animals. Oil is a natural process, and that's why you see it on your CO2 containers. Protein is a natural process. When people find out what the wool has been pulled over their eyes in past 20, 30 years, with inflating oil from a few cents to a few dollars, I think a lot of people have to answer for a lot of things. And the oil industry.
I couldn't agree with you stronger, sir, on all points.
No, I don't talk, because I see a lot of people make comments about this and that. I talk about this, and I used to handle hundreds of thousands of what do you call it, barrels and oils a day as part of my own company's organization and refined material. I always said people are so unaware of what the oil industry is doing to them. We are not just giving you the poisoning, we actually pay you to pay us to get rid of our poison. So in the process,
I've been trying to get away from it for 15 years, and
now you have an option. Now the option is there.
I'll tell you my story about that too, which is I'm allergic to oil after being a mechanic for about 40 years. And I am so allergic that a little smudge of oil on my skin will cause my skin to bleed. And it's, so essentially, I bleed when I touch oil now. And I'm one of the casualties of this whole obsession with oil that we do have. And there's many people like me. There's just in the island that I live on, there's 2 mechanics each year that get this environmental sensitivity because of their association with all the oil oil byproducts and different contaminants that are involved with all that. So yeah, it affects people both in the physical, health way as well as wealth.
I think oil industries and oil nations have to come clean with this situation. The process is the process is this is what it is when it comes to it. I mean, now you've seen 2 reactors, you made the materials for it, you use your own pots and whatever to make your own reactor. You, in the coming time, you create your own energy and your own motion, and then we start laughing at how we allowed others to pull such a wool over our eyes and rob us. There are materials in the oil which is needed for our industry, for our life, daily life. Charge a right price for it, no problem. But this is again what I explained before about the washing of the wool, where you pay for the wool so expensive, and then in fact the money sits in the rubbish inside the wool, which gets washed and nobody knows about. Being and running companies in that level for years, and they call me an insider, but it's not an insider. It's something I made money out of it. I made a lot of people rich with it. I made my staff living a normal good life. But sooner or later, this comes to an end. It has come to an end. One of the reasons we opened the lab last week was to bring it to an end. People of the oil industry, if they dare to watch what's sitting there, and people of the defense technology, if they dare to understand what I explained at the beginning of this session, you put any fast top space reactors or whatever you like to destroy another man, it can be taken out. But on the other hand, we have, and I always say I support defense or protection of people's civil rights in a very strong way through national securities. Where I was explaining to knowledge seekers yesterday, if we don't have a strong national security police force on secret police, which works to the benefit of humanity, not a few who abuse it because they're in there, we won't have a life, easy life to sit here, we leave our house with everything, and then we know we go back to it and it'll be there. It'll be stripped to the bone. But I don't see any reason for spending a country which has hardly any finance to feed its nation, to be bought arms which is not used just because factories in America or Western Europe have to have people to eat, to feed. And I don't see any reasons for controlling the what do you call it, the line of life by arms. In a way, if people understood, and our Chinese colleagues and Chinese friends and other scientists around the world who monitor and work with this technology so very rapidly understand, is that very soon we see enough Chinese in center of Washington that man has to come to an agreement how not to produce any more arms. But on the other hand, we need the national forces not to be in the situation we are in Middle East at the moment. Crisis beyond imagination. But if the national government as totality don't work and have the tools to stop this horrendous work of animals, then none of us have security. But on the other hand, where do you think all these things have come from? Nations charging, draining other nations, and then not knowing. I think the best example of this abuse of a man by nation-wise comes from the island of Haiti. They were one of the first nations freed long before America, but till 4 or 5 years ago when they had a hurricane and whatever they had, the earthquake, that they lost most of their assets. Then we found out that the French government said, you don't need to pay us any more for the freedom we gave you 200 odd years ago. So nobody said, well, how come the Dominican Republic next door is so wealthy and Haiti is so poor? And it's what just was an imaginary line on the floor. Because the French government was bleeding the nation for the freedom we gave them 250 years ago in the constitution. Over 80% of the income of Haiti was going to the pocket of the French national government. These things has to be opened up. We have to change the situation. And in being able to do changing things, man should be able to support himself now, irrespective of abuse. But on the other hand, I always say, I was talking to my wife yesterday, that me going through 30 years of this kind of work, being in such a high level and understanding so, was deliberate for me to be prepared to be able to understand how things can be and done and can be changed. The production of, if you say to me, you have gold in your water in the house, I tell you one thing, dig around 50 kilometers around your house, because the water most probably is coming from around 50 kilometers around your area, you find a gold mine. Because what you find, and you say, I've got it in my water, because it gets washed from the rainwater down into the undergrounds, and that's how you come. We understand the process, so it's no different if it's a uranium or plutonium. But in all this industry, we allow the uranium to come out, but they say we need to clean land. Yes, clean lands, but tell people why you're cleaning fuel stations. This, I'm not sensitive to this position, but I know because I have sat on the boards and I've sat on being owners of these kind of companies 15, 20 plus years ago. And I know I never agreed with it, but it was part of the structure. And this is part of what we understood and we understand.
Yeah, I've been an international corporate conglomeration entity for 16 years myself. I understand exactly the nature that you're speaking about intrinsically, which led me to finalize the quest that I started on when I was 14 years old. I opened my first corporation. We did remediation, recycling of farmlands. It was before recycling programs were big. And at that time, myself, my cousin, and his 4 strong-backed friends, we literally collected paper, glass, plastic. And at that time, I built an open reactor system with all those containers. At one time, when I was 16 years old, I had over 200 biological reactors that were actually functioning with each other. So I've been doing this for a long time. And I have this right here as my control for the gold test. This is actually pressure formed on aluminum, gold, 99.97% purity. When I run this, you'll notice that the water, with all of its mineral constituent presence here, has turned to a gold color, and that's not by accident. What you see here is the darkest scum, and the other is what we had supersaturated as gold. You're looking at the gold right there. So I'm answering
I
the
can't see
first
your
question
pictures.
that
We
you
don't
posed.
share your.
And
we
here
don't
it
share
is.
your.
Now, if
We don't see the pictures you're trying to share with us.
Vince,
Yeah, Rick, you can see the screen, right?
Yes. Now we see it. Yeah. We can.
okay.
You
All
know
right,
something which is very
we've been
strange
gone and listening to some really
is that the gold is one of the simplest metals to make.
right. You're looking at gold floating. This is my control sub. Yeah, I did this for the first time 7 years ago. I made this reactor series at that time in series. I didn't know it was going to be in series, but this is my control substance. So what I did was I ran through the same series. Okay, I conditioned the water, right? I used the one gold reactor, which is at the bottom of, or at the top of the flip over the gigahertz scale, which is the hertz scale, less than 10. That's what this reactor is. So you don't see much reactivity, but it's ordering the gold. It's resonating with the gold frequency. This one is. Okay, so it's causing the gold to fall out in part in PPT, which is it draws its energy to the anode, and here's my control. But you can't see the amount that's been made by the reactor series until you put this in the water and you test it, because this is gold. This is a pressure process over top of high aluminum purity also. Okay, this element that's sandwiched in here, and none of these things are to be taken into dismissed. It's got two capacitors on it, these two tubes, right? It's got a nanowire in there that's actually sandwiched with the connection right here. Okay, and the nanowire is sandwiched with the independent single wire that's looped between the two here. So you can't see the wire that's in the tube. And then I turn this on, and you can see the difference in color just because here's the one behind it as an example. There were different shades before this, but now you can see the drama. Now, I also had dirt on all of the elements, no problem. You see it fall? You see the fall rate? I just disturbed the surface on the meniscus where it collects magnetically. It stands there, and I bumped it, and now it's fallen down. It's now obtaining buoyancy at some point, continuing its acceleration, but being decelerated by the liquid in here. Okay, now this gold, it's gold. I know this because a number of different tests, as easy as it is to make, the tests are just as easy to prove without assay. You can do centrifugal force tests and against some really heavy elements, and they line right up in the proper position.
I'd like to just Dan.
There was dirt on my fingers, so that's the dark stuff. That's amino acids.
I was just going to interject that I used to be, in my old days, a gold panning champion.
Hello.
And I am aware of the idea that gold can float on the surface. And one of the tricks the miners use is to put a drop of soap in the water in your gold pan, and that helps the fine gold drop down to the bottom. And another little sideline is there's a river nearby here called the Sombrio River, and it means glittering colors in Spanish. And it's because of the gold that's in the area. It gets pounded by the river when it gets close to the ocean. And the gold gets suspended in eddies down in the calmer parts of the water close to the ocean. So you get a golden hue on the water, especially because of the oil from the salmon that are running as well. You get both factors allow the finest gold powder to actually sit on the surface. It's like a miracle. It's one of the heaviest metals, yet in a fine powder, almost a nanostate, maybe a nanostate, it floats. So I just thought I'd put that in there as confirmation of the floating part of gold.
Its gravitational component is adjusted. Right. Its gravitational component was just arrested or conditioned to be null and void in that particular bubble, in that particular surface tension, coalescing or resonating with the upper and lower surface tensions of overlie and underlie. So what you're seeing right here, to answer the first question, how much gold? This reactor water here, I started out with a couple days. I energized it in front of somebody, and then I don't know if video was taken at the time, but those people are here, present today. And this was nothing but water that was high drinking water before reverse osmosis of my water system. Reverse osmosis goes to my sink. This what we've done since before today was less than, I would say, 30 minutes. Okay, and the trick that we just went through, the series, I've done it 3 times.
No, I was going to tell you something.
I think James witnessed the first one last night, and now this is actually the collection results. This is how you collect it. I went through the series of reactors. Okay, and there's 3 in the series. Okay, there's 1 primary, as you described, good doctor. This is the link with the matter state, or I'm going to call this the matter state test. Okay, when I put this in here, the gold comes off of here and suspends, as you would think, transference to a liquid for electrolysis process. I.e., my chemical system is now conditioned to give me a result of my nano condition. Okay, to result.
Yeah, would you like to
put this in here? And I guess the video was off during all that oration. I charged it. Can I repeat it?
I said, would you like to sell your gold to the national government?
Conditioning phase?
Yes, go on, repeat it. But I said, the way you're making gold, would you like to give it to the national governments that they get it from the water than creating so much war for nothing?
We can talk in private.
Why? Everything with us is public.
We can talk about that in private so that we can have a perfect rollout plan. Listen to what I'm trying to tell you, please, sir. We can talk about that in private. I'm a private man. No. I'm not in it.
I can make.
But I like to be well spoken when in front of an audience.
Yes, no problem. It's just that what I was trying to say. I don't mean to
offend.
No. What I'm trying to explain, I think you missed the point, is that making the gold is so easy, as you show it, and then we show it in our plasma technology, that there is no reason for creating war and hungers for it. I think you missed the point.
Yes, sir, I agree.
So that's what I said. Shall we release it to the governments that they don't need to create wars to empty the central banks?
You have a peace initiative, sir. You have a peace initiative, and I completely agree.
Yes. Carry on. Let them proceed. Let them
Sure,
understand what
I'd love
to
it.
do.
Let's form a coalition and do that. I'd love to.
Go ahead.
I've got
Explain the
it in the
process.
palm of my
Let me see.
hand. Okay. Okay, I need to back up since this is the conditioning phase. I ran the 3 reactors. Okay, I ran this one first. This is the beginning of the conditioning phase. It's stuck in that quality. It wants to mimic its third quality automatically, and then I scintillate it with this. Okay, and now the gold is in solution, just like this clear solution back here. This has got a catalyst that I developed to make this actually quicker. I just never thought I'd actually use it. And then I take my conditioning reactor. This is the third in the series. I'm sorry. This is the third one in the series, and this is the fourth one in the series, the scintillation effect. So basically, I have my Starship combination in the 4 reactors. And this right here is my test. Okay, so I put this in the water. Let me clip it in here so we have no problems with it. Okay, it doesn't touch the side of the reactor except for its ground point, like that. And we attach the 1 lead to it. Now, it's already got PPT on the gold. I'm not going to clean it off, but I'll let you know that there's already buildup of PPT, or slack, as I've been calling it, slack, S-L-A-C-K. Okay. Now we have our element in here, okay, and we supercharge this element with the exact same current as the other ones. We haven't changed anything. We've held voltage and amperage constant. The individual draw up of these individuals are different. Okay, now you'll notice it doesn't seem like there's too much happening. Okay, but what it's doing is it's literally taking that gold and putting it and suspending it in the water that's on that plate. And the reverse of that is the extraction of an oxide. And so I'll take it out now and show you the oxide. Okay, I run that cell for about 30 to 45 seconds. Each one of these cells doesn't have to run for any more than 45 seconds. And there's a white substance here, okay, and you can wipe it off. It's a white substance. It's like a chalky substance, okay? And I've come to determine what this substance is by testing an industrial grade substance. It's zirconium oxide. This is zirconium oxide with 1% quartz crystal material. Easy to separate that material out in its components. But anyways, the product result on this test reactor is what I believe is a combination of zirconium oxide and its dirty dozen. So it's a baker's dozen with zirconium oxide as the leader. Okay, now we did what we did already. You'll notice that the gold has fallen down from the meniscus. And the free radicals from the electrolysis process have absorbed the amino acids or converted them or mutated them. And you'll also notice that in the bottom, the crystals haven't changed. So there's zero reactivity in all this crystal state. Okay? But you can tell the gold is right there in a collectible amount. And I did a disservice because I had some that was on this PTFE and I didn't pull it out gently enough and it washed off. But you can see one single particle of it stuck right there to the white. You see it? That's the gold. it just kind of stuck there on the corner of the PTFE as I pulled it out of the slack water. So yes, I love what you're saying. Absolutely, I wouldn't change a thing. And I believe I have a ready-made solution right here. So what I'm going to do with this water, I'm going to cap it, okay, because this has been a continued experiment or methodology, disclosure. And I'm going to go ahead tomorrow and set up a gravity filter. And I'm going to take and collect both the mineral content and the gold content. That's still circulating in here, by the way. It's got super lavodextro characteristics. So you set it in the motion of lavo, and it just likes to stay there for a long time. You set it in the motion of dextro, and again, these constituents are acting like the orbs of plasma right now. They're mimicking them, and I just ordered the flow, but you'll notice when the flow stops rotating, then it'll be a chaotic sine wave over a square cosine wave in every direction until, you know, it reaches homeostasis and clarifies. This right now, I'm understanding the next test on my gold cans, okay, which is, this is the same liquid. It's, again, it hasn't finished clarifying, and I keep disturbing it, but this is the same. This is a test for correlation of this. This doesn't change colors. It's independent of temperature. I can't freeze it. I can only try at -40 degrees, but I can't freeze it. And I can't make the reactors work inside of this. Likewise, this reactor, which was quite visible, and gold is quite an interesting character. We understand its electric properties because we used the heck out of it in a matter state. I put this in here and it gets zero reactivity. I put the other ones in there now. Now that I have a certain concentration of constituents, none of these will react inside of there now. So I could show in that one in the back how I used these constituents in the dry form to put on those zirconium dioxide balls right there. Okay, what gave me the idea was the test. The test yielded a product of dioxide. So what did I do? I spent 3 years collecting it, and then I had it shipped off, and I got I don't know, got 6 5-gallon buckets left of these materials. You don't need very many, but so these materials are in 2 different sizes. I call the one inner boundary catalyst, which are the small ones, easy enough, and the outer boundary catalysts are the big ones. They're a rough orbital shape, imperfect, no two alike. They're a range of displacement only. Sure, these, but I provided the substrate materials for the ceramic to be made, the prepared substrates. One of the mixes of substrates that I used was this mix, which is a 4,000 degree constituent zirconium oxide and what do you call it? Quartz crystal. And I took in account this as being more reactive than that, so I put it at a 1-to-3 ratio.
Okay, we're going back
Anyways,
to the beginning.
I could go on and on and on.
Okay, thank you
Yes.
very much. We use your knowledge again next week. We'll see what we are, because we learn from you. You have a lifetime of experience there. We go back to Marko for his teaching session. No, we're doing this. You can't escape from this one. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for teaching us We are all students of life, as I always say. Marko is getting
very
ready.
much. Thank
you. You're quite welcome. Marko is getting ready to start his, what do you call it, part of teaching. Are you ready? Have you transferred it through? Or are you sharing?
I sent it to Rick.
Rick, can you load up or to show the Marko's section?
Yes, I'm ready for that. We start at the top.
Yes.
Take it from the top. Okay, I'll have I'll line it up.
Okay, I'll give the headphone to Marko.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe, and thank you too, Dan, for that demonstration of your technology there. That was intriguing for many people, I think. There's a lot of question marks about what that was about, and it's actually based on some pretty solid stuff. So thank you, and thank you, Mr. Keshe, for that interaction. Okay, Marko, are you ready to go there?
Yeah, I'm ready. Hello from my side. We are getting images here with a little bit of delay. So, how can we arrange this? Can I just tell you the numbers of the pages?
Rick,
and then...
Go ahead, Vince.
Are you going to share your screen, Rick?
Okay, we can try that too, sure.
Yeah.
Does that work for you guys in go to meeting land?
In Skype works well.
So
okay,
let's
great.
go step by step through this presentation, page by page. And I will tell you the number of the pages, and if you can shift it, if you can change it when I tell you, that would be a good option.
Okay, up and down might work too. I'm not sure what the page numbers are offhand.
Okay, that's the first page what Keshe Foundation is working with. Keshe Foundation is space technology organization, and all development is it's focused to research in the space and what we are doing here. So if you go to the next page, number 2, Spaceship Institute is like teaching program of Keshe Foundation, and we are here to learn and to share the knowledge. Can you go to page number 3?
I think we've got to go up.
We are a little bit delayed. So,
There's probably about a 20 to 30 second delay, something like that.
okay, anyway, I want to make a connection from the physics what we were learned in high school and universities, and to make a connection to plasma technology that we are working here at. And in page number 3, I tried to show the structure of the matter in particle physics. You can go from molecule to atom to nucleus, proton, and then they explain that inside the proton or also electron, there are quarks. The smallest particles are quarks. That's how they're explaining in particle physics. And if you go to the next page, number 4, we can see the measures of these fundamental particles. And atom is 10 to the minus 8 centimeter. Nucleus of the atom is 10 to the minus 12 centimeters. Proton 10 to the minus 13 centimeters, and quark 10 to the minus 14 centimeters. You can imagine that these are very, very small particles. And I would ask, how could they observe them? Or how can they know their properties? It's very difficult to observe them. Also, the electron, it's 10 to the minus 18 meter, and the diameter of the electron, so it's very difficult to observe this. Yeah, but I think we are a little bit delayed here. So if we go to the next page, number 5, there is structure of helium atom, and we can see how small the nucleus of the helium atom is. 1 femtometer, 10 to the minus 15 meter, and this is very, very small. And on the next page, there is structure of the neutron. How they explain it at particle physics. They have quarks inside the neutron, upside down, up quarks, down quarks, gluons, bosons, I don't know what. I don't want to go to this, but I just want to show the difference, how we look at plasma and how mainstream physics is looking at. And if you go to the number 7 here, I showed what's so some description about a neutron. Neutron is unstable when it's on its own, and it has lifetime or decay time about 14 minutes, and it decays to proton and electron and some neutrino. So, or there is another decay, proton, electron, neutrino, and also gamma radiation. That's from mainstream physics. And here is on the next page, number 8, is it shows decay of the neutron to the proton and electron, and release of energy. So we are looking from plasma point of view. We are looking at the neutron in the same way. It also decays to the proton and electron, as Mr. Keshe explained in the first book. And in mainstream physics, they're using antimatter, term in antimatter, and we are at the page 9, if it's possible. No.
On top with what's on top of page 9. Yeah, antimatter.
If you go, yeah, Rick, are we at the number 9 at the moment? Because here we are not sure if we show the right, if we are showing the right picture.
You want the antimatter and particle physics?
Yeah, yeah.
Or, oh, okay,
yeah.
sorry. Okay, got that.
In particle physics, they are using expression antimatter, and here is the explanation. I don't want to explain it in this way. I just want to show what are they using. It's, well, antimatter is a particle composed of antiparticles, which have some mass as particles of ordinary matter, but have opposite charge. And other particle properties such as lepton, Byron number, and such things. And when they encounter between particles, they annihilate themselves. And here's the definition of annihilation. And another, if you go to the number 10, dark matter. In cosmology and astronomy, they're using expression dark matter, which is some kind of hypothetical method that are using in astronomy, and most of our universe they're explaining is composed of dark matter. Dark matter and yeah, I told him. Are we at the dark matter page? Or? Okay. Yeah, let's go on the next one. And here, let's start with the explanation how we look at the plasma. And in first book, Mr. Keshe explained about matter, antimatter, and dark matter. That's why in first book the terminology is adapted to the terminology of mainstream physics. What I showed you in previous pictures, this is just to make a easier relation between mainstream physics and plasma physics that Mr. Keshe is trying to explain to us. So in first book, there were still explanation was still with these expressions like antimatter, dark matter, and matter. And if we look at it, in this picture, like initial fundamental plasma of neutron, is it composed from antimatter, dark matter, and matter? I'm repeating again, this is explanation from first book. So that's easier to understand. And antimatter we know from particle physics, and dark matter is from cosmology. And physicists are not using it in small particles, but here we can see that we have dark matter or dark energy also inside the plasma. And as it was explained before, the property of neutron is, when it's on its own, is, if we go to the next page, number 11, we can see decay of initial fundamental plasma of the neutron, and neutron decays to electron and proton and some residual of light. And the structure of the proton and electron are the same. They have all these sub-particles, sub-energies inside. They have inside the electron and inside the proton. There are still antimatter, dark matter, and matter. If we go to the next page, number 13, we can see a little bit different picture. Well, it's the same, but with different terminology. antimatter is not right terminology because there is nothing anti in this matter. Actually, this is the principal matter where everything starts in plasma. That's why in the second book and in the third book, Mr. Keshe went to different explanation, and we are using this understanding now. The structure of the plasma is composed of principal matter, and then when this principal matter or principal energy radiates out and it loses some of its strength, it transfers to transition matter, transition energy, and further on, when it loses more of its strength, it comes to the matter strength, and that's the point where we can observe with our senses, where we can observe these fields. But source of principal matter is are magnetic fields. When magnetic fields interact, they create gravitational field and magnetical fields, and this interaction creates principal matter, transition matter, and matter. So the source of all the matters are still magnetic fields. If you go on the next page, number 14, in this picture it's shown light as a plasma. When light goes from one position to the other, it transfers from spherical plasma to cylindrical plasma because it has less friction to travel in space, in environment. And this cylindrical plasma has inside in the middle, when we see the red, it's like a principal matter in the center, and when it radiates out, like that black part is transition energy, transition matter, and on the edges it's matter. But light has this very interesting property. It is changing when it travels through different environment. When it travels through to transition energy environment, the part which is on transitional energy field, it comes on the surface, so that it creates less friction and it loses less energy when it interacts with its environment. So let's go to the number 15. And here is the structure of the spherical plasma. The way we understand it now, we have in the center principal fields, principal matter, and this principal matter, principal energy radiates out and slowly loses its energy, and it becomes transition energy, and on the edges we come to the matter level, and it creates like magnetosphere of in a matter strength field. So this is like column barrier or magnetosphere of the planet, or it could be also how do they call it, heliosphere of solar system, but it's always the same thing. It's still some kind of barrier, and but we are using different names for it. So that's our understanding of the plasma, and I hope that you understand it in this way. If there are any questions, here is the presentation in two-dimensional, but we should see this as three-dimensional picture. It goes in all 3 dimensions. So let's look what we are doing in our lab. If you go to the next picture, we see the mobile phone, and with this simple mobile phone we can get all the materials that we need, almost all materials that we need to start experimenting in the lab. If we open battery of this mobile phone, we can go to the picture number 17, and we get copper sheets out of this batteries, and we can nanocoat these copper sheets. We explained nanocoating procedure in previous workshops, so I will not go to the details. If you go to the next picture, number 18, we see the nano-coated material, already nano-coated. And we will use this nano-coated material in the next. We are using this nano-coated material at next steps. Let's go to the number 19. There are still, it's another picture of nano-coated material. I just want to show this picture to have that you have some kind of better understanding and better view what we are doing here in our lab. If you go to the next picture, number 20, you can see another nano-coated material. Number 21 shows nano-coated copper wire from very close distance, and we were explaining this nano-coating and how we done this and the structure of nanomaterial in previous workshop. So if you are interested into this, you can just go to internet and search for previous workshops. On the next picture, it's number 22. It's shown bone as nanostructure. We were discussing this also in health workshops, and it was explained in very detailed way. Bone is also nanostructure, and I just show this as to compare it with nano-coated wire. It's similar structure. If you go to the next picture, number 23, there is another picture of nanostructure so that you can have better understanding. It's single material, it's gap material, and you have layers and layers of these gaps and gap material. So that's how you get nanostructure on the copper wire, copper sheets, or whatever. If you go on the next, number 24, you can see nano coating in Coca-Cola bottles. I think people who are following us, most of them, they done these experiments and they reached nano coating inside on copper inside the Coca-Cola bottles. And one interesting thing that you observed is also that plastic of the Coca-Cola bottles is nano-coated. Let's go to the next picture, number 25. Here is the picture of nano-coated wires that we are using them in GANs production cells. On the next picture, we can see these GANs production cells. So number 26. This is our first setup in our lab. So let's go quite quick through these setups. Number 27 shows only one bottle in this setup, and we can see collection of GANs in one cell. On the next picture, number 28, you can see fat on the top of one of the cells. Mr. Keshe was also explaining this an hour ago about how oil is created in our planet, and this was disclosed also in one of the papers that are available on the web page of Keshe Foundation. Let's go to the number 29. It's another picture of this fat on the top of the cells. The same thing. The people who are doing experiments at home, they can observe this. So everybody can check this. It's easy, quite easy process, and if you follow all the workshop, I think it's not difficult for you to replicate these experiments. On the next picture, number 30, it's another GANs setup for copper oxide. If you go to the number 31, it's only one cell, which is a close picture of it. Let's go to the number 32, another fat on the top, but a little bit different structure of the fat. And if you go to the next picture, number 33, it's collection of GANs. What we are collecting out of our cells in this picture is copper oxide, GANs, and on the next, number 34, it's different color. It's all the setups are not producing the same material. They observe a little bit more or a little bit less of energy, and that's why we can observe different colors of GANs material. There are also mixtures of different GANs because our setups are not set up are not only for one GANs, and they collect mixture of different GANs from the environment. So let's go to the next picture, number 35. Here is again collection of different GANs and GANs setup. Number 36, it's concentrated collection again of GANs. Why I'm showing this? Just to show that this is first step or second step in the process. It's you can collect these GANs material, but and at the next step you can use GANs in different so about GANs, we were talking about GANs quite a lot in previous workshops, but let's explain again what GANs is. GANs is a plasma. When I was showing you before the pictures from mainstream physics about plasma and structure of the how do they explain? They're explaining that electron is plasma, proton is plasma, but they cannot see electron or proton. But here we can observe this material, GANs material, which is gas in a nanostate. We can observe with our own eyes. If you go close to it, you see small spheres, small particles, and these particles is one entity, is one plasma. We see this plasma because of interaction of magnetic gravitational fields, which are in the center of the GANs of the plasma. Let's say copper oxide, and when this magnetic gravitational field interacts with environment gravitational magnetic fields, they create this magnetosphere, and this magnetosphere is observable to us. So we see GANs material because gravitational magnetic fields of entity of GANs, let's say copper oxide, but we see the matter like atom because of gravitational magnetic fields of environment. Gravitational fields, magnetic fields of environment are let's say much stronger when interact with normal matter, because normal matter it has inside like plasma of proton, plasma of electron, and when these two interacts, they create residual this interaction of proton and electron creates another entity which creates another magnetosphere of the atom, and this interaction again with magnetic gravitational fields of environment creates magnetosphere, and so that we can observe atom. But this is in a much lower strength. That's why it's smaller. But with GANs, this magnetosphere expands further, and that's why we can observe GANs. I hope it's clear enough. Let's go to the next pictures. Number 37, just different collections of GANs material, gas in a nanos state. It's plasma state. number 38, again, another GANs with a little bit different color. Let's go number 39. It's another setup for GANs production. And you can see in some cells there we collect CO2 GANs, in some of the cells CH3 GANs. If you go to the number 40, you can see that when you connect like power consumer or light, you can light LED with this cell. Energy production is part of this process, because when matter transfers to GANs, it releases energy which is not needed. The energy that was holding together, let's say, proton and electron, and this interaction, magnetic gravitational field, to hold them together, it's not needed anymore. When they come together and they create one entity, they release energy, and we collect this energy and we can light LED. So we can use this system also for energy production. If you go to the next picture, 41, you can see again different type of fat. This fat can be used in the next steps for health applications, for food production, and we will explain this in next workshops. So for number 42, again, fat on the top of the cell. Number 43. These are just different setups, and I'm sure that people who are doing experiments at home, they can show thousands and thousands of these pictures. So everybody can do this at home. Let's go number 44, again, different fat on the top. 45, another setup for GANs production. 46, we can see also that gas is coming on the top of the cell. Number 47, again, close picture of one cell, and we see CO2 GANs in this cell and gas on the top. Another on number 48, another picture of top layer of fat. 49 again, fat. And if you go to number 50, we have GANs collection, different GANs. Copper oxide, CO2, CH3, and we can use these GANs in next steps. I don't know, this is quite a lot of pictures now. Rick, you can just go quickly from all of them just to show what we are collecting in our lab. These are just simple setups that are in our lab, and we are collecting this, and most of you can collect this at home also. And it was for people who think that they cannot do these setups. There is GANs CO2 capturing kit available also to buy on the Keshe Foundation forum webpage. So it's easy to set up things. Let's go quickly to these different guns and maybe to number 60. Here is a black page, but if you can, it's a video here. I think it will be able to show how can we use these guns. Next step is how to use these guns. If you right click and you have possibility to start the video, you can see the power cells. These are the power cells that Armen made. There are guns inside and different nanomaterials. And okay, it's not on. Or you can, yeah, but you can go to the YouTube of on Armen's channel, and you can see these power cells. And with these cells, it's guns inside and nano-coated wires and not coated wires, and they're connected together. In previous workshops, we speak detail. We speak about all details about these power cells. So we can charge the battery with these cells. So we can use guns for energy production. So this is showing one of the applications of guns material, of plasma material. If you go to the next page, number 61, you can see the reactor, first reactor, dynamic reactor, which has guns inside. And with this experiment, it was shown that guns goes into the center of the sphere and creates like disc shape. And if you go to the next page, number 62, you can see GANS material inside the reactor. That's the picture that we get also yesterday when we opened the GANS reactor of Armen. Is the same structure. GANS is in this in the same shape. It creates like disc and on the edges of yeah, like donut shape. So that's what we are doing now. It was step by step. We first produced nanomaterial, then we produced GANS, and now we are using GANS inside of our reactors. And if you go to the next picture, 63, this is set up star formation of GANS plasma reactors, Armen's plasma reactors, which we are running now in our lab. And from this setup, you observed in previous 2 days, previous 48 hours, strong magnetic fields that were detected, and with very small energy that we are using to run motors, we were able to create strong magnetic fields that also Mr. Keshe explained before. So step by step, it's not such a difficult process. Everybody can learn. It's just important not to be ignorant, because knowledge is here for all of you to learn, and everybody can do this. If we go to the next picture, it's again collection of copper oxide GANs. Why I'm showing this again? Because on the next picture is another application, number 65. It shows GANs in our brain, which we have here in our lecturing room, and this brain can be also used as a control system of our reactors, as a storage, and it has different we can use it in different ways. You can go. You can go to the number 66. 66, just close picture of GANs in our brain. You can see the structure. It's wavy structure is like structure in our brain. Number 67 is from different angle. If you go 68, again from different angle, and you have you can observe here changing of the color. It goes to the creamish color. It's the similar color than our brain. And on the number 69, it's again we compared our brain with brain of the human. It's just to compare that the colors are similar. So that's how we can use GANs that we were producing in previous steps, and most of you can also use this at home, but let's do tests first here. You can do tests also at home, and you can send also your results, so you can learn. You can teach us also what you can learn. Maybe we missed something, so it's important that we share information with each other. And I think it's not. We should not limit ourselves. I would say nobody is wrong. Let's be open to different explanations, but not in a way that people are not doing any experiments and they're saying you're not correct. Let's be open. People who are following us, let's share with your explanation, and not just to say you're not correct or you're wrong. That's what we were observing in the past few days. We achieved very incredible results, I would say, but instead of people sharing their experiments, they were showing, they're trying to discriminate. I don't know how to say this. Okay, let's go to the next picture. Number 70. Here's the picture of the sun, and sun is also a plasma. The same as our GANs is plasma. Let's say copper oxide is plasma. Sun is also plasma, but in different scale. It's much bigger plasma. It's much bigger principal fields inside of sun if you compare it with copper oxide plasma. That's why it's bigger, and that's why we say it's quantity and sanctity. When it's smaller quantity, it's, let's say, CO2. If it's a little bit bigger, it's copper oxide. It's big. When it's even bigger, we have sun. Even bigger, it's galaxy, universe. So it's all the same. It's the same structure. I want to show you also the other reactors. What we are doing here, we have also other reactors which are with gases, but it's the same principle, just the different way how to achieve plasma inside of our reactors. Let's say in number 71, you see one of these reactors. We use different gases inside of these reactors to create plasma, and then once the plasma is created inside, we can manipulate this plasma and use it in different ways. Let's go quickly through these pictures. Number 72. You can see a close picture of it, and here is the magnetic field detector in the front. That's what we are using here to detect our fields. We have different types. This is for lower strength fields, and we have another one for higher strength fields that we are using now in our GANS star formation setup that Armin made. Let's go quickly through this picture. Number 73. It shows the inside of the reactor. Number 74. It's another reactor. What is interesting at this reactor is that it has rings on the top, and these rings are connected to the center of the reactor so that we can measure plasma flow inside the reactor and to observe what is going on inside. Number 75. Again, just to show sun and to compare sun as a plasma to our plasma that we have inside of our reactors. Let's go to the number 76. Here is star formation. We are always using star formation because it's much easier to control our plasma and to achieve some results. What we are planning to do with star formation, it's easier to achieve this than when we have only one reactor. Star formation is always used in flying how can I say, vehicles or flying objects that is used in to travel into the space. So also future vehicles to travel into space will have this star formation inside of the vehicle. And if you go to the number 77, you can see that also amino acid, building block of an amino acid is like star formation. You have oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, and a carbon, and they are still in a star formation. And you can compare our reactors also with building block of amino acid. On the number 78, another star formation. We have 3 star formation now in our lab, and we are testing these configurations. Number 79 shows our lab, but now it's already changed. We are changing things, we are doing different experiments, but always the main structure is star formation. On number 80, you can see our solar system and different planets inside of our solar system, and these are like also each planet it's plasma on its own. It's similar like one atom has different electrons, different protons, and these are different plasmas, and you can compare our solar system with an atom. Also, atom has different orbitals, and here you can see it's the same structure. Is it atom or is it solar system? It's the same structure. Number 81 shows the star formation again, but in a little bit different configuration with 6 reactors. You cannot see all of them because some of them are in the back, but we can replicate atom of carbon. We have central reactor which has plasma inside and 6 different reactors around it. So we can replicate the behavior of the carbon with our plasma reactors. Number 82, again, to compare our setup with atom of carbon, it's similar structure. We can do tests and we can emulate, or what's the expression in English? Copy the atom of carbon. Number 83, it's another picture of solar system. It's the same, so it's always the same structure. Plasma of the solar system is the same as plasma of the atom. Just to show it again. Number 84 shows another structure of plasma. It's plasma of helium atom. This is also interesting, but I think we don't have time. Maybe we'll go to details next time, because helium is similar. We can compare it to the plasma of the water. If we see it like the electrons of the helium are like 2 hydrogen atoms that are circulating around the oxygen atom. It's actually when we look at the molecule of water as one plasma, that's how we should look at it. It's actually like plasma of the helium atom. But let's go to these details maybe next time. We can talk hours about this, I think. Number 85, there are different pictures of our GANS production cells, of our planet Earth inside of solar system, about our star formation in our lab, or our galaxy. It's the same thing. It's a gain plasma. It's the same process. So I just want to finish this with just few pictures. 86. we should not limit ourselves. We should try to expand our knowledge. 87. Yeah, why we are here? We are here to share the knowledge of the universe, and Mr. Keshe is doing this with us. And I think here we as knowledge seekers really appreciate this, and would like to thank him to share this knowledge freely. So that's number 88. That's from us, Spaceship Institute. We try to share this knowledge with help of Mr. Keshe, and also with your help. I hope to get some feedback where we are, where is the understanding, so that we can know we can do the next teachings. What should we go to detail, and where to put more attention, so where are the weak points, whatever. So if there's any question, I hope that I was not too long.
Thank you, Marko. That was great. Tour of the universe there. Does anyone have any questions on the GoToMeeting or otherwise? I think there is maybe a question or two on the live stream. I'll have a look at that now. There's a question about using bare hands with the nano-coated copper wires and so on. Is that a hazardous problem? Should people really be wearing gloves, or can you get away with occasional touching of the black nano-coated copper oxide, at least? It's a bit of a question.
Yes, you should wear gloves. You can see here sometimes we don't use gloves, but just because at some occasions we don't have gloves, but you should wear gloves, because this is it's nanomaterial and GANS material, and these materials radiates magnetic gravitational fields, and when you touch this, some of this material will stay on your skin, and somehow you can touch your mouth or whatever, your food, and you will digest this. And this material, it's nanomaterial. It's in a same state like your body is. It's in GAN state, nano state, and you can have health problems because of this material. So you should always wear gloves.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, I will give a microphone to Mr. Keshe to finish this, or if there is anything else.
Thank you very much, Marko. I think that was a summary of what we've done here and what we have learned over past times. There is something which, there are 2 points to make a reminder. If you can go to picture number 22, the bone, if you can go that far. I'm not... can you go back on the picture number 22, which is a bone? It's a cross-section of a bone. Is the other there? You're there, showing it.
Going back.
Okay.
I don't have any numbers to go by, so I'm just trying to find the...
It's somewhere in the middle.
More at the beginning.
It's at the beginning.
It's at the bottom of your page, Rick. 35, 34.
35.
Go up 21. 27. Right there.
Yeah, Armand says it's historical bone because we don't have it. The dog has eaten the bone. But it was with Armand in the lab and with us, and we don't know where it disappeared.
No.
But the reason I asked for this picture, please look at it in detail. The reason this bone was brought up into the lab is this is the reverse of what you see on your copper oxide, on your copper nano-coated material. You see the shape, the gap, the distance, and how loose and the bigger the cell becomes in different positions. And this is how materials are. These holes in the bone structure is a filter of what material to go through as a blood and whatever else. But structure of the nanomaterial you see with the GANs is there. That's how more or less you see across the section of your copper wire. In the copper wire you have is a spherical. You get homogeneous gaps from in out. Here, because of the shape of the bone, there are different structures, different sizes of this nanolayer, and each one has certain capacity of MAGRAF, which allows cells to enter or leave the, what do you call it, the structure of the bone. We'll come to this picture if you can keep it tomorrow in the talk with the medical side with Dr. Elia. Next week we had a lot of requests from people how to make a perfect nanomaterial and nano-coated material and GANs. And as we have now made what we call our Superman in making nanomaterials, next week Armand will show a full process of how to make nano-coated materials that we all understand how we do it and how it's done in a very simple way. So we cannot have any more misunderstanding in how we make it now that we are putting the plates out in the what do you call it, the environment of the development of CO2 and capture of CO2. Something which is interesting maybe to share is that we are about to launch a second kit in the coming days, and we announced that when it's ready, that it adds to the next step in production of energy if you can do it at home. There is a discussion that once, because I know where the foundation work in the lab is going regarding the dynamic reactors, we're already speaking with our Italian group for the production of dynamic unit as a kit, what you can buy as a kit, and this will be evaluated next few weeks. So as you are trying to build one reactor at a time, miniature reactors will be available as a kit that you can start producing your own systems and testing your own things as you want to do, and then we'll shoot you the application of these things. Is there any other question that we can ask, we can answer?
I think you pretty much covered the bases on many things today. We are up to over 3.5 hours now.
Yeah.
Is there any other announcements or anything else that need to be talked about? Just the health workshop coming up for people on 2:00 p.m. Central European time on Friday. What else would you like to say, Mr. Keshe?
There is not much because nowadays we are having about 8-10 hours of teaching a week, and this is going to be expanded more and more. So we try to be directly more practical, and then whatever, if it comes up on a live stream, we put on that you can see. Armand is getting his flying suit jacket ready to be able to go home for dinner and come back. Mm-hmm. So you can see how close he is. But the fact is, we share the knowledge freely on the basis of adding to man's knowledge. And so many ways we get away from the, what do you call it, the mistakes of the past.
I'll show the little animation that our animation team has been putting together for, especially for the kids workshop, but it's sort of a multi-purpose animation that we'll work on and try to refine and expand upon.
Oh, this is the one we showed yesterday.
Yes, right. So it starts off with, these are magnetic rays, not light rays in particular, and it progresses where they entwine together here, causing an interaction that leads to the plasma field around the, it could be a neutron, could be a star, could be in many different scales. I was wondering what Marko thought of that too. Mr. Keshe kind of gave an opinion on the in the kids workshop there. But we should probably end the workshop here. So
it's very nice. So we're learning a lot as we see it, and that's how we learn it. And I am sure will be huge surprises on the way. You will see now that the reactors are a start formation, and we go live. Whatever you see during the week, make a note of it that you can ask a question at the end of the week. So in reality, the foundation work between the people outside and inside is more or less split totally from now on in majority of the cases, as we have the facilities to be able to exercise our influences on a different number of reactors with a plasma technology using GaNs. And you have the possibilities of working with the GaNs in a static form. We add on each other's knowledge and we go further with this. But now, as I said, as of 2 weeks ago, foundation work, as you don't have the facilities and being able to finance this kind of research which we do here, we open our cameras and bring it home to you 24 hours a day. So we still work as a whole family totally, but in sometimes we cannot show everything because we have processes. When you see a picture like a box with the nanomaterial in it, is most probably taken up to about a week to produce it, and you get fed up of seeing things, what's happening, there is nothing in the box, and then next week a nano-coated material comes out and makes some energy and you have a GaNs, as most of you have done it. So the same process will go with the dynamic systems now, and we try to open the channels on the lab when we are testing, that our data is open. As I said, I stand, and Foundation as a whole stands for a valid criticism. We don't stand for the people who just come for negativity to prove their own meager existence. So if you have a valid comment that you can help the Foundation for our work to go further, we listen to it. The ones who are completely are there just to prove that they're alive, we know you're alive, otherwise you wouldn't be in there to make comments. But make a constructive support, we can go further. This goes not with individuals, even with the national governments and the institutes around the world which do and follow the experiment. Thank you very much for all your time, and hopefully tomorrow we have a very, very nice news regarding the health section. This is a major breakthrough in the world of the technology, and instead of waiting and putting it out after months and months, we have achieved this understanding over the past 10-14 years. And now, through one trial which is coming, the results proves to us that we can go to the next step. And with this next step, we revolutionize the world of medicine. Tomorrow, I think it'll be one of the first breakthroughs revolutionizing the technology. But as Dr. Elia will tell you, we are reaching miniaturization of the technology to reach to worldwide. And as now we are teaching the health program internationally, and the doctors around the world to come, the whole band to do with the Keshe Foundation health program does not exist, because it's people who want to be part of. Let me explain something very interesting regarding the Keshe Foundation Health Research. Whenever you join or become or request to become part of the Keshe Foundation Health Research, you sign that you donate not financially, but your body and the knowledge we learn from your process to the humanity. So now is not money going to a specific organization or what do you call it, group. Is you financing, donating your body, donating your time, donating your even finances to finance the research regarding your own partially. So nobody can stop the humanity as collectively to support each other to go. And the beauty with this process is now that we bring in doctors who start monitoring and publishing the results literally on weekly and monthly basis that other people can see. And as I said, we are not afraid of failure. If the system, the trials fails or doesn't show what we expect, we go back and see what we have learned from it for the next step. But as technology has become more readily available to us knowledge-wise, now for the first time that we start releasing the kids, we are releasing the technology on the health side and others as the time comes. And tomorrow is a major steps for us in that direction. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. Thank you. See you tomorrow at 2 o'clock our time.
Yes.
Rick, did you want to show the video or the animation? I don't think you did you? Or was that just on live stream?
Yes, we already seen it.
Yeah, I did show it, but I didn't have that window. I could show it for the GoToMeeting.
Nope. It's no problem. They can see it on live stream and it's on YouTube as well.
I'll just end the workshop with it here as we sign off.
Thank
you. Thanks everybody for coming. And that's the end of the 30-second Knowledge Seekers workshop. Lots of good things in there for people to ponder and to work on and experiment with. Okay, bye for now.